What's up? What's going on? Hi guys, good to see you. Um, I was a little late today to get into the stream, or not late in terms of like when the stream was scheduled to start and me joining, but I wanted to start earlier. But two things: one, Don Lowe has been practically keeping me fucking prisoner, constantly making me reshoot stuff and fix stuff for our video. And like, dude, like, I'm telling you, you guys give me a hard time. Don Lowe is like freaking Hitler how he orders me around. Second of all, Photoshop was being really annoying when I kept working on the thumbnail. I was like spent 30 minutes trying to fix something. One of my settings changed and I didn't know how to change it back and I was struggling to make it. After the stream I'm gonna try to make a slightly better thumbnail, but you know, it's alright. It's all right. But I'm excited to do this stream today. Um, I went back and I watched a bunch of fights. Every single fight we're going to talk about today, I watched. But also, guys, look who it is. Pepper's laying on my lap. Isn't he so cute? Isn't he so cute? He caught a big fat lizard today. He caught a huge fat one and he was chomping on it in the hallway right outside my office. But yeah, I'm excited to get over all this stuff with you today. Today should be a fun one. Oh, John Wings. Oh, have I learned that already? Oh, have I learned that already? As he vomited up the last lizard that he ate. Vomited that thing up whole practically, and I had to scrape that off my floor. So anyway, guys, don't worry. We are going to start off the first half of the stream. We are going to be playing not Agario because we already won, but we're back on the Slither.io grind. Don't you even worry. I've accomplished everything there was to accomplish in Agario, to be fair. Like, I already did it. There's nothing else to do, you know? We reached the highest peaks, but, you know. Hi, Grim Sharma. What's up, buddy? I'm just getting the last few things set up here. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm very excited to go over all this with you guys today. Today's going to be a fun one. I went back, I watched a ton of fights, and I think I pretty successfully have it down to a science to break down the absolute highest level fights that have ever occurred in the history of the UFC. Yeah, Pacquiao's such a freaking hater, dude. Such a freaking hater. I don't know about that, Mr. J. Crispy. Let me ask you something, Mr. J. Crispy. Could Islam Volk really be number one if all Islam needed to do was fucking set up the head kick in the first fight? Really? Listen, I don't want to spoil where or if it'll even be on this list. I don't want to spoil it. But can it really be number one if again the whole fight happened just purely because Islam had the wrong game plan? A lot of people are throwing a lot of guesses all over the place. I don't know, man. I don't know. We may see. I think I think there's a lot of these fights though, man, that you guys aren't gonna see coming. That should be where they are though. You know what though? Based on some of your suggestions, you guys are giving me some ideas to put in my doesn't make the cut for reasons. You know what? Let me collect a few of those just because I'm sure. Oh, Pepper, don't go. Oh, Pepper left. Pepper left. Yeah, let me just collect a couple screenshots because I'm sure people are gonna want me to talk about some of these. Cameron Arman, you guys really think that's one of the highest level fights we've ever seen? I mean, it wasn't not high level. It wasn't not high level, but it kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll make this list. I'm just surprised when people are asserting that one. Because, again, we got 10 fights to get through. You know, we got 10 fights to get through here. What's another one? What's another one I should add? That's a good question. F8, FHG, GL, FH8, GLM. That's a really good question. I'd answer that question if you weren't such a bitch to me yesterday while we were playing Agario and kept trying to hunt me down. I might have brought it up for you. Okay. All right. I think that's good. There are probably going to be some other ones that could be talked about, but I think I collected a lot of the ones you guys were asking about that aren't going to make the list. But yeah. So Bro was number one and still hasn't moved on. That's not what I wanted though, man. I didn't want to just be number one. I wanted to grow. Like I wanted to take up the entire map. I got so big. Shafka has come back in 2027. Damn, 2027 is a long ways away, man. 2027 is a long ways away. Thank you, Cornbread Returns. Appreciate you. Man, I don't know what it is. Chat. You guys seem so awkward today, man. You guys seem very awkward. And I don't know what it is. You guys just don't feel very approachable today. Watch out, Pepper. Don't step on any keys, please. Oh, and that's exactly what he's doing. Watch out, Pepper. How about you? Scooch off, little guy. Scooch off. Scooch off. Scooch off. How much to add a fight? Now that's finally a good question, Jim. How much to add a fight? Yeah, I mean for sure. That's gonna be, I think, our normal price, $3, and we can add a fight for sure. MMA Jack, thank you for the $2. Where's MMA Hole versus Mike Okinya on the list? Mike Okinya on the list. I don't get it, MMA Jack. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get the reference. I don't get the joke. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. What about you haven't watched? I've watched every fight. Way too spilling even the $5. Do you mean the ability the fighter is capable of in a certain martial art? Example, Ilia versus Emmett, or a full blend? Charles Max, Ian Bilal. So it's not necessarily that. When I say a fighter's ability, what I specifically mean is both fighters' abilities shown at at the absolute highest level. I mean, I think that there's a conglomerate of things that you have to look at here. For one, I think, hold on, let me unpause my stream so I can read my own criteria while I talk about this. Yeah, so basically, if you read the criteria, it states we're looking at fights in which the fighters demonstrated the most ability. And the reason why I use the word ability is because there definitely will be some nerd in the chat who's going to be like, it should just be all flyweight fights because they have the most skill. I didn't say skill, did I? I didn't say skill. Generally, fighters in lower weight classes do tend to have more skill. Fighters in the higher weight classes tend to have more attributes. You know what I mean? So you're kind of balancing all of them out. You know what I mean? We're looking at fights in which both fighters demonstrated the most ability. You know what I mean? The highest level ability back and forth. It's not necessarily to say, oh, well, this guy used more martial arts than this guy did, so he's automatically ahead. Even though, maybe that I guess you could find certain distinctions there when we start trying to compare certain fights to other fights. But we're looking at two fighters who we're looking for those matchups where we just saw two straight up savants going after it. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to put it. And I just feel like, again, it is a little difficult to cleanly rank individual fights in this way because, as you guys know, there's a lot of nuance when it comes to mixed martial arts fights. There just is. Guys match up differently against every single guy they fight. You know what I mean? And obviously, as we know, right? MMA fans in general have a really difficult time understanding the nuance. And I think Israel Adesanya is the absolute biggest indicator of that. People just have such a difficult time understanding that Adesanya, despite how great he may have been against certain kinds of opponents, you know what I mean? Certain guys just are stylistically a nightmare for you, So again, that's kind of the hard part because sometimes it's like, well, this fight showed a ton of ability, but then this fighter may have lost to somebody lower level at a certain point because of style. You know what I mean? And it's for that reason that it's very difficult to cleanly, perfectly rank every single fight in in a way that you can't poke any hole in it at all. But I really think for the most part, especially once I start actually ranking a lot of these fights, and when I actually start explaining a lot of these doesn't make the cut for X and X reasons, I think you guys are gonna click into this very, very quickly. Sosaholic, thank you for the $5. Kimbo Slice versus Data 5000. I mean, what do you want me to do with that? What do you want me to do with that? Just you saying that fight, just naming that fight out loud. That's all you wanted to do. Yeah, that fight happened. Guys, what's funny? You guys aren't gonna believe this, but my initial my earliest memories of watching MMA was me being a little kid and watching Kimbo Slice fights on YouTube. I'd watch his MMA fights on YouTube. That literally was my first sneak peek into MMA. Apart from that, I wasn't an MMA fan at all. And then I didn't actually get into MMA really until many, many, many years later. But I used to watch a lot of fucking Kimbo Slice. I don't know what I liked about him. But, to me, he just felt like such an underdog, and I always rooted for him in MMA fights, even though he kind of sucked. Juan, thank you for the 99 cents, Juan. I really appreciate it, buddy. I love you, Juan. Oh, and another $2. Oh, I see. Can you put Goju versus Sukuna on there? Goju versus Sakuna. All right, sure. Sure. That I can. We can add this in. I'll do it. I can add that in just a second. MMA Jack, thank you for the $2. Aspen Ladd versus Norma Dumont in board shorts, please. Well, if you're asking me to add that fight into our list here, you didn't send me the correct amount of money to do that, MMA Jack. Again, I don't make the rules. I just have to follow them. So that's not quite enough money to do that. Oh, and then you send another $1. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, and Colt killing me with the $17. I appreciate it. Can you add Dillashaw versus Cruz and Yuri versus Alex 1? Yes, we certainly can do that. Let me real quickly so I don't spoil them. I'll add them all right now. Let's see. Here we go. This works. And then you want Norma Dumont versus Aspen Ladd. Norma Dumont versus Aspen Ladd. In board shorts in particular. Okay. I'm just going to type in board shorts with that. And just see what comes up. Sure. All right, we got something here. All right. Let me add all these in now. Okay. There you guys go. Gleeglog Schlag, thank you for the $3. Please add Shea Julia versus MMA Shea. Dude, that was a war, bro. I couldn't believe how many people didn't like the Agario stream. What do you think? Everybody who watched the stream loved it. Now, maybe I think the biggest reason why that stream, after it was already done, why it did unfortunately receive a lot of people weren't happy with it, was because they felt like they got clickbaited a little bit, which I understand, but dude, there was so much all right, way too smoky. There was so much love and passion, man. All right, I gotta turn off the fucking. I gotta turn off the fucking desktop audio on here on the text to speech. It's too much sometimes. It's too much. But dude, that was a war, bro. Like dude, there was so much heart and so much passion and so much love and just so much fire during that Agario stream. Like, dude, I was such a noob when we first started, and you guys can't deny, man, that final run where I got to first place and I held it for like 4 or 5 minutes. Dude, the footwork, the movement, I was so hard to track down. I was constantly circling. Me and Shea Julia, that was a legendary showdown. Legendary showdown. And I'm glad that some people enjoyed it. Grimshaw, I think for the 40 rupees. Sean versus Cheeto 2 both showed their full potential. Yeah, I would say so. I'd say so for sure. Because, believe it or not, man, fucking Cheeto Vera, I think, actually sort of showed some holes in Sean's game. Specifically, how Sean O'Malley fights in the pocket. He's not very good in the pocket. And it's primarily, I think it's a lack of girth and a lack of durability sometimes. Frankly, honestly. And I think that Cheeto 2 fight really showed that. We also saw Sean, just how fucking good he was, and how fast he was, and how good he was on the outside. I agree with you. But okay, let me add Shea Julie for MHA. I don't even know how to get a solid screenshot of that though. How the fuck do I get an actual screen? I'm just gonna have to quickly. I can do it. Way too smoky. Thank you for the $10. Can we add Strickland versus Amavov, Ian versus Bilal, Arnold Allen versus Moser? I feel like all three of those fights are chess matches to the best of each fighter's abilities. We can absolutely do that, and I'll give you my thoughts on all of them. Again, I can't promise any of these fights you guys are asking me to add. I can't promise any of them will actually make the top 10. Who knows? If you get maybe as I think about it, I can maybe one will end up cracking the top 10, but I will place them and talk about them and give my thoughts on exactly how they fit in with the criteria of what we're looking at today for sure. That we will do. Well, let me find a good screenshot of me versus Shea Julia real quick. Speaking of, here's FHGLM.
Add Conquest versus Invincible, both 1 and 2. I was number 1?
Where's Shea Julia at?
I'm number 2, but I'm still so small. Doesn't look like it.
I don't think Sean is that bad in the pocket that last minute Sean was engaging on purpose in the
Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're no. Nope. No. Nope. I'm sorry. I don't know who donated that, but I heard it on the text-to-speech. It was not just because Sean engaged at the end. That's not why. I showed it in my post-fight recap of that fight. I showed literally about 12 individual screenshots of Chito Vera blitzing Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley going, and then Cheeto touching him to the body. I showed about 12 fucking screenshots of that. Where the hell was Shea Julia? I swear to God, like, dude, she was haunting my nightmares while I was playing, but now that I'm scrolling through the stream, I can't find her.
Donlo, fuck off, bro. Thank you, guys. Thank you. While I reconjoin.
Oh, I think I found him. Oh, no, that's fucking N-word Topuria. They were also a real problem when we were playing the other day. Where's Shea Julia? Come on. I know you exist. All right, okay. I think this is good enough.
Add Prime MMA Che versus that kid from Taekwondo, 2 pounds approximately equals $3.
Okay, hold on. Okay, good. Oh, I scared myself. Okay, Strickland and Mavov, Ian versus Bilal, Arnold Allen Mosvar. Yeah, we can do that. Stavosky, thank you for the 200% sub show. What about Jan versus Divalishvili's too? All right, we'll add that as well. Shay, can you also add Arman versus Charles and Gamrot versus Arman? Colt Killer, thank you for the $7 Canadian. That we can absolutely do. That. Don't you even worry about it. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you. I love you all. Whoa, $20. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much, Jack Crease. I really appreciate that, Jack. Dude, that's fucking crazy. Thank you, buddy. When you get to number 1 spot, can you add Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett to number 1 because of how technical and how high skill it was? Yeah, that we can absolutely do. That we can abso-fucking-lutely do. Don't you even worry about that, man. Boy, Strickland was so fat when he fought a Mavov, huh? He was fucking fat. And let's see, what was the other one? Oh, yeah, Ian Bilal. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. Gaethje versus Pimblett. Yeah, that's right. Guys, I also wanted to ask you guys in the meantime. If I were to straight up like spar a UFC fighter for a video, which may or may not be in the works, what theme should I add to it? Like, what should the point of it be? Like, what would be the special thing about, like, so the idea that was given to me was, like, the theme of the video would be, theoretically, if this were to happen, would be I bought all my MMA gear off of Temu and then sparred a UFC fighter. Someone gave me that idea, like, in that vein. In that vein, what do you guys think could be a good idea? Easy E, thank you for the $5. Add Conquest versus Invincible with 1 and 2. Easy E, it's $3 to add something. You only sent 5 for 2 different fights. You know what? Fine. I'll make a compromise. I'll lump them both into one. How about that for you? Brooke Mulu, thank you for the $10. I sure known anytime I need some donations coming my way, all I need to do is just start saying anything bad about Sean O'Malley, and then all of a sudden I know Brooke Mulu is gonna spawn in with some money and a rebuttal. Brooke, thank you for the $10. I do appreciate it. I don't think Sean is that bad in the pocket. That last minute, Sean was engaging on purpose in the pocket, looking for the finish, and pretty much won all the pocket exchanges until the last one. So I will opine with you that when someone like me says that Sean O'Malley's not that good in the pocket, what I mean is, like, you have to compare him to, like, the absolute best of the best. Because, you go through Sean O'Malley's career, right? When Sean O'Malley was fighting fucking Thomas Almeida, like, round 3, he cracked him badly in the pocket, right? Like, depending on, obviously, Sean O'Malley compared to, like, the average fighter is pretty much elite everywhere on the feet. But if we're talking about that Chito Vera fight, again, Brooke Mulu, again, I showed in my post-fight recap for that fight. And you know what? It was funny too because here's the thing. This was a long time ago. By the time Sean and Chito fought, it was a long ass time ago. I remember my initial recap was saying, I'm like, yeah, I think Sean didn't look great in the pocket. I think Chito Vera kind of showed that Sean gets susceptible when you really blitz at him, when you really close the distance. And I didn't really show any examples or proof of that statement other than the final sequence. And I got a barrage of comments telling me that I made the worst fucking breakdown that has ever been made, and that the only reason that Sean got clipped to the body was because he was just trying to engage on purpose at the very last second. So then I went, okay. And then I immediately made a follow-up video where I addressed that and went, everybody, that was not true. I then showed literally 12 screenshots of Chito Vera rushing at Sean, and then Sean going, and then leaving his body wide open. And like 3 or 4 of those screenshots was actually Chito Vera landing to the body. And then on top of that too, like you got Piotr Jan, when he closed the distance on Sean would cover up, he would leave his hips wide open for takedowns. The Song Yadong fight, people were pissed about Sean versus Song Yadong because it was boring. The reason it was boring was because the whole fight was Song Yadong trying to get into the pocket and Sean O'Malley avoiding the pocket with him like it was the plague. Because Sean is so tall and rangy and long, he's quick, he's fast, but he's not very girthy. Sean generally does not want to close the distance with people. Lennon, thank you for the €5. Add Mike Jackson versus CM Punk. Yeah, for sure. People forget, man, CM Punk was on a pay-per-view main card.
Dimensions of both fighters and weakness of Khabib, while also exhibiting the best Ali fought in his life.
Oh, thank you for that $1, Easy Ewok. I appreciate it. Will the Beast, thank you for the £2. Add Prime MMA Shea versus that kid from Taekwondo 2 pounds equals 3 pounds. Had prime MMA shape versus that kid from Taekwondo. I mean, Will the Beast, I don't know exactly what you mean, though, by that. Like, are you referencing something that I've spoken about? Prime me, you're saying that kid from Taekwondo. I don't ever remember referencing anybody from Taekwondo. So... Yeah, I don't know, Will the Beast. I'm just gonna need a little bit, like, who is that kid from Taekwondo? If you can just tell me that, then I'll jump through. I'll jump through any hoop. I just need to see it. I just need to see where the hoop is, and I can do it. Colt Killer, thank you for the $17. Can you add Natsu versus Zarif from Fairy Tail and Ichigo versus Kenpachi from Bleach? Okay. Sure. Natsu versus Zarif. Okay. We're doing that. Ichigo versus Kenpachi. Okay, I added those two things for you there, Colt Killer. Thank you so much. Uncle Lenzo ASC, thank you for the 2 pounds. Next, you will be saying if there was no round, Cheeto wins.
Obi-Wan versus Anakin, Revenge of the Sith.
I never say, I don't think I ever reference when talking about an MMA fight that if there were no rounds, so-and-so would win, because I think that's kind of dumb, because, like, are we talking about MMA or are we not? You know what I mean? Like, there are rounds in MMA, and you have to game plan around there being 5 or 3 rounds. So I never reference that pretty much anyway. But in terms of, do I actually think specifically that if there were no rounds, Cheeto Vera would beat Sean O'Malley? I mean, he did really hurt Sean O'Malley with like 10 seconds left. Like, he really cracked him to the liver. Like, Sean collapsed and was like, he was breathing like a gay dragon. Right at the end of that fight. Or maybe not a gay dragon. Maybe a retarded dragon. Right after. But then, of course, you know, then that does lead into question, did Sean O'Malley very specifically at the very end of the fight, just rush at him? I would need to see the sequence again. I don't really remember what that final finishing sequence was. But I do think that Sean was open to the body every time Cheeto blitzed at him. So I think maybe I can at least devise a game plan for Cheeto to potentially land a body shot at some point if they were having a fight to the death. But my money would be on eventually Sean O'Malley's gonna fucking like Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald Cheeto, where like the damage of Cheeto's face just becomes too much, and eventually he just eats a shot and then just fucking collapses. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, like Cheeto's bones in his face are gonna start breaking at a certain point. It's probably what I would bet my money on. Way too smoking with $5. Habib vs. Ali Quinn showed dimensions of both fighters and weaknesses of Habib while exhibiting the best Ali fought in his life. Sure. I actually am excited. I do have a lot to say about a lot of these fights, so that's good. I'm glad we're doing this. Way too smoky. Thank you for the $5. Obi-Wan versus Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. All right, that is the best Star Wars fight of all time. Absolutely the best. It's very difficult to watch this lightsaber duel and then watch anything Disney has ever made when it comes to Star Wars. Specifically lightsaber battles. Sosa Hog, the tries to add Kimbo Slice versus Data 5000. I've sent you $5 already. Okay, sure. This fight was almost as bad as when they had fucking Hoist Gracie fight Ken Shamrock when they were both 75 years old. I showed a UFC fight. I showed a UFC fighter's levels, showing the difference between a high level amateur versus a professional. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm probably gonna fuck up with this UFC fighter, so it doesn't really make any sense. That wouldn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm probably just gonna fucking destroy them any which way I wanted to. So that's gonna be tough. But those are some interesting suggestions. All right. I mean, I think for now. God, okay. Hold on. The problem is all of these fights at the bottom, I'm going to have to put them up at the top so I don't spoil the ones towards the bottom. What else? What other ones am I missing? Oh, this one. This one. Okay. All right. All right. I think we're ready to get started. I really appreciate all the suggestions, and we can keep taking suggestions too pretty much all day long. But I've got a lot to say about a lot of these fights that you guys added here. So I'm very excited to get started. Well, Meme Big 8 with the worst question I've ever seen anybody ask literally ever. So is this a top 10 or a tier list? What the fuck does it look like to you, Meme Big 8? Everybody here is tired of picking up your slack, dude. Read it. What do you see? You see 10 through 7, 4 through 6, 2 through 3, and 1. So what do you mean? The numbers are right there. Everybody make fun of Meme Big 8 right now. Everybody make fun of him right now, or anyone who doesn't's banned. Everyone make fun of him right now. Do it. Everyone right now. Everyone laugh at him and call him stupid. Right now. Everyone do it. I need the whole chat doing it. Come on. Where is it? Everybody, yes, go. Do it right now. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Meme Big 8 brain cells. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. That's what we needed here. Bring bullying back 2026. Okay, are you guys ready to get started? Who's ready? Okay, let's do it. All right, starting off. These two people right here. I believe it was Colt Killer donated asking me to add these two people because he wanted my thoughts on this fight right here. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent. I gotta scroll down a little bit, sorry. That's pretty much the extent to my thoughts. That is the extent to my thoughts right there. I don't know who these people are. All right, next. This one right here from the show Bleach. I know Bleach. I know this show. It used to be on Cartoon Network when I was a kid. But apart from that, I couldn't tell you anything about any of this. So I have no idea. I did not spoil anything. Everybody asked me to add all of these, you numbnuts. Literally every single fight on the screen I'm staring right now, somebody donated for me to add to put them on here. I don't know who these people are. All right, moving on. Now this is from the fucking the show Fairy Tail. I also don't know who these people are. I literally just don't know. Again, somebody literally sent me money to add these people. I just have nothing to say about them. I don't know who they are. If I did, I would talk about them. So that's pretty much it. Oh, I see my problem. I gotta scroll. Okay, there we go. Now I can see myself better. All right. Okay, next. Invincible versus Conquest 1 and 2. Man, this is, dude, Invincible versus Conquest, I think it's one of the best fights in the show. Second and foremost, I think the second fight in particular, I've personally never cringed as bad as I've never in my life been cringing watching an animated show of people fighting. The thing is though, man, about that very first fight, the very first fight was the definition of I see red, because the truth is Mark couldn't actually stand up to Conquest power for power, but he saw red, he had the adrenaline drop, and then, he started biting him and stuff, and you know what I mean? Like, it was really, he saw red and went after him. It was difficult watching the last episode of Invincible. It was almost depressing watching them try to fight Thrag. It's almost depressing. Like the vibes I got from them trying to fight Thrag, it was like when Thanos in Infinity War came to Wakanda with almost all the he had 5 out of the 6 stones, and then he was just walking through everybody. That's what it felt like watching them try to fight Thrag. Though I'll tell you what, I'm very, and I've gotten this spoiler again. By the way. Okay, Meme Big 8, you're lucky. No spoilers about the future of the show past the comic books. No spoilers, except this one, because I was already going to say it. I did get the spoiler that the only person that could actually fight Thrag, who does frickin' go to war with Thrag, is Battle Beast. And I'm very excited to see that. That's one of the few times that like a spoiler has gotten me actually just more excited, But yeah, I think from what I understand, which isn't a lot, the problem was that they were in space. So, obviously, Battle Beast couldn't really move through space very well. That's why he ended up getting tossed and flew away. Again, I don't know exactly what happens, but nobody spoil the comic books, but I'm very excited to see Battle Beast fight Thrag. That'll be freaking awesome. That'll be awesome. But yeah, great. I do think Invincible Conquest is the best fight in the show by far. Definitely. Juan, thank you for the 99 cents and thank you for the $2. Can you put Goku versus Vegeta the first time? Yeah, that I can. Though that fight I feel like dude, I don't know, man. The problem with that fight is that the way it concludes is a little Vegeta basically defeats Goku. But Vegeta ends up getting defeated by frickin' Gohan falling on him. You know what I mean? Like talk about lame. Talk about being lame. But, Yeah, and that is why, basically, that is why Goku versus Vegeta is not making the cut for certain reasons. That is why. I'll tell you what, though, man. I'll tell you what. After watching Invincible, Vegeta seems pretty tame as a bad guy, doesn't he? All right, next. Anakin versus Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. Man, I'm telling you, it just makes me so sad that Disney took over Star Wars because, dude, you've got, like, this is literally the greatest lightsaber duel of all time right here. And then you cut to the Disney movies, and, like, remember when frickin' Kylo Ren and Rey fought in the second movie on that planet? It was like I swear to God, Rey is swinging the lightsaber around like it's a frickin' 10-pound dumbbell. Like, you know what I mean? Just like there's no technique, there's no art to it. You know what I mean? You know how much training frickin' Ian McGregor and Hayden Christensen did to actually be able to have the lightsaber bouts in the way that they did? It's such a shame, dude. Such a shame. It's such a shame. Next, moving on to some of the real, more like actual current matchups having to do with this channel. Me versus Shea Julia during our Agario stream yesterday. Dude, Shea Julia's a marauder, bro. She's a marauder. Like, I legitimately picked up a lot of the Crafty Crafties. When it came to Agario. When I first started playing, I was but a noob. But then I legitimately really developed into a very, very solid player. I did. My footwork was great. I was staying off the octagon side. I was moving very, very well. But, dude, Shea Julia was always on my tail. No matter what I did, no matter where I went. Like, she was the sole... Like, I remember we could have been first place a lot earlier in that stream. But she kept chasing me down. And I kept having to split myself up to get away from her. Dude, she was all over me. It was very, very difficult. Very, very crafty outside foot battle, to say the least. I can humbly say that in the end, I outgirthed her. But, dude, it was tough, man. It was tough. And that was a legendary battle. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite make the cut for the top 10 we're doing today because, again, it's not actually an MMA fight. But anyway... Wait till we think about his Battle Beast is Yuri, basically, without spoiling. Okay. All right. Again, I try to avoid spoilers, but that's one of the few spoilers I've gotten where I was like, I'm actually just now more excited to see that than anything else. Now that's actually making me really want to watch. All right. Data 5000 versus Kimbo Slice. I think, it's crazy, man. It's crazy because people complain a lot about how the heavyweight division's terrible, how all of the heavyweights are just out of shape middleweights. But the truth is, man, we've never seen a contest of more out of shape people than this fight right here, have we? Like, ever. Like, the fact, like, dude, fucking Data 5000 legitimately almost died. His heart almost gave out from pushing his cardiovascular capacity as far as it did. Do you remember how this fight ended when he just literally fucking like started stumbling and collapsed even though he didn't get punched? Like, that's insane. I didn't even think it was possible somebody could die from exhaustion in a mixed martial arts fight, but we literally did practically see that happen. Next, we have Bilal Muhammad versus Ian Gary. Now, this fight is the first serious fight, and we gotten through all the joke ones. So this is the first serious fight. This one doesn't quite make the cut, you guys. Does not quite make the cut. And the reason it doesn't make the cut is this. Again, people have a difficult time with this. And, this is the one thing. In fact, I got an email today about somebody reaching out for like a sponsorship or something. And the first line that they said was saying that Bilal is a better wrestler than Islam is crazy, but, and then he went on with the pitch about wanting a sponsorship or something on the channel. And, man, it's tough. That's one of the few things. Sometimes telling the truth, man, it's hard. Sometimes telling the truth is hard, and sometimes it ostracizes you to tell the truth and tell people what it is, right? But my main point about comparing Islam and Bilal's wrestling is to talk about how I truly think that wrestling is literally arguably these days one of the worst bases to have for MMA. Truly, I really think that. And I think this fight right here shows that. I think that when you look at any of Bilal's like pure wrestling skills, it's very high level. However, it doesn't matter if your other skills don't allow you to set up your takedowns. If your other skills cannot open up your opponent's hips, it is worthless. It's worthless. And that's what we saw here in this fight. It's kind of what we saw against JDM, except for the one sequence that JDM tried to, well, there were a couple of sequences, but that one time that JDM tried to wrestle with him and tried to go for that knee tap, and then Bilal fucking lateral dropped him, like beautiful reversal. But apart from that, man, I think that's what this fight really showed. I think in general, right, Ian Gary is really, really high level. I think his ability is extremely high. But apart from that, Bilal just couldn't quite keep it up with Ian Gary. Not enough to actually crack the top 10 of what we're looking at, MMA Jack, thank you for the $2. No Aspen Ladd, no Dorma Dumont. Oh, they're here, dude. They're here. MMA Jack. They might even crack the top 10. Legitimately. Speaking of, Norma Duvant versus Aspen Ladd right here. And this is going to be our very first number 10 spot. You know what? Maybe that's not a good idea. I've never watched this fight before. So because I've never watched this fight before, it's probably fair that I actually keep that off, I think. Should probably keep that off. All right, next. Sean Strickland versus Nasruddin Imavov. I mean, dude, see, this is just, again, this is another one of those fights that I said it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard to make this list perfectly because, MMA fights encompass a lot of nuance, right? Fucking, MMA essentially 100% comes down to styles and how you match up against certain guys. And I think this is one of those instances where, like, dude, you've got such a crazy rock, paper, scissors match here where Sean Strickland will always beat Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya will... Oh, well, actually, no, this is not a rock, paper, scissors match at all. I'm stupid. Basically... Yeah, no, sorry. This is not a rock, paper, scissors match at all. Never mind. I don't know what I was talking about. I for some reason, I confused what the outcomes of those fights were. But regardless, Nasruddin Imavov, right, he just can't fight Sean Strickland. He can't fight Sean Strickland. He can't. And it sucks. I understand Sean was really fat during this fight because he took it on short notice. And, the thing is, Sean Strickland, it's kind of unfair when Sean Strickland takes a fight on short notice because he's always in shape. Like, Sean Strickland doesn't do any cardio outside of sparring, and he's always sparring. The only difference between this version of Sean Strickland and a Sean Strickland that did go through an entire training camp is that, he wasn't as fat. His cardio was exactly the same. He just had so much more body fat on him and was way bigger. And obviously that's gonna help his durability because that adds girth to him. It's gonna add a little bit extra power because he's throwing more body weight around. He wrestled Nasruddin a lot in this matchup, which obviously the extra size is gonna help with that. But yeah, again, unfortunately, Nasruddin Imavov, even though he can knock out Israel Adesanya, it just doesn't work because Sean Strickland's A game is boxing, right? And, this one doesn't quite crack the top 10 either just because, again, when we're looking at fights in which both fighters demonstrated insane ability to the highest level, Nasruddin couldn't really do that against Strickland because he's out stylistically. He can't match up to Strickland very well, Jim, thank you for the £2 at GSP versus Captain America. Now, Jim, do you mean the mixed martial artist GSP versus Captain America, or do you mean from the movie The Winter Soldier when George St. Pierre played the character of Balrog and he fought Captain America early in that movie and then also returned to be in the Winter Soldier TV show? Is that what you're talking about? because Jim, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need that information before I add anything on there. All right, next. Maybe I got his guy's name wrong. What is it? It's something like that. Isn't like Balrog the Leaper or something? They never say his name in the show. Batrock, sorry, not Balrog. Batrock. Balrog's from fucking isn't? Oh, that's the fucking. That's from. I think that's somebody from fucking the Lord of the Rings. Batrock the Leaper. Batrock the Leaper. And Jim also just did something stupid, by the way. I asked Jim. I went, Jim. These are the two options I'm curious about. These are the two options I'm curious about when it comes to what you want me to add. And this dude just said yes. I need everybody to make fun of Miller Jimeth in the comment in chat, please. Everybody shit on him right now. Everybody say he's stupid. Tom Possessed, thank you for the $5. So essentially, Bilal Wrestling is held back by his striking being limited to basic boxing combos and lack of knockout power. I mean, yeah, for the most part, Tom Possessed, I mean, again, it's nuanced. But again, right, when you look at Bilal in the UFC, his double leg is very, very clean. Super clean double leg, especially like against Leon Edwards, the chain wrestling in that Leon Edwards fight, where he's getting to those clean double legs. He's going double leg to high crotch and picking Leon up and dumping him on his head, or obviously, right, where he shot that double leg and then Leon got the underhook to defend it. So then Bilal switched to that underhook knee tap and ran him over. Like that chain wrestling ability is very, very high. And like again, you just look at like someone like Islam style in MMA. Islam doesn't use like pure wrestling skills like that. He doesn't really. Obviously, he's the way better grappler, better judo, better trips, better throws, better pressure on the ground, better submissions. Like he's better all around. Then obviously Islam is a very good wrestler himself, but Islam does not use those same wrestling skills, not to the same level. But again, your pure wrestling skills don't matter if you can't. Again, because the way you set up takedowns in a pure wrestling context has nothing to do with MMA. Has nothing to do with it at all. You know what I mean? And again, just JDM, Islam, JDM, Bilal just showed that perfectly. Islam used his extremely technical, well-rounded skill set to just constantly get in on the hips of JDM, no problem. Whereas Bilal just couldn't use his skills to ever set up any takedowns. That's what it comes down to, And that's why I think, obviously, every fighter needs wrestling skills, obviously. But, like, I don't know, I'm just getting kind of tired of this notion that, like, oh, wrestling's that's the base. You gotta fucking have a strong wrestling base. I'm like, I disagree. Can you read my milestone chat? Where is it? Oh, LEC, I'm sorry. I missed it. Thank you for 17. Remember, Shay, with your JDM breakdown, you've been somewhat forgiven of your disrespect of Aussie goats. And please make sure you have Ilia versus Volk. Thanks. Way too doing for the $5.
Both if you want to make it one, are easily top fights.
DJ versus Cejudo, both you want to make it one or easily top fights. DJ versus Gooch and DJ versus Benavidez and Pantoja versus Raval are good mentions too. I agree I agree they're both good mentions. I agree. But DJ versus Cejudo, I mean, okay. DJ versus Cejudo. All right. But anyway, so moving on. Next. Sure, Captain America versus GSP in this movie. I had no fucking idea that I remember watching. I think by the time this movie came out, I was not interested in MMA yet. And I had no idea who this actor was. And I was very shocked to learn years later, once I had already gotten into my MMA journey, that GSP fucking fought Captain America at one point. Very, very cool. And honestly, man, I think it fits a lot better than some of these make-believe fights that we had in the past. But again, the truth is, man, let's just be real. If Captain America had used his shield, he would have crushed Batroc the Leaper. He purposefully didn't use the shield to show how alpha he was. For that reason, doesn't quite make the list. Oh my god, Ogre Online. Where have you been, dude? You haven't been in any of the streams in forever. It's so nice to see you. I'm glad you're okay. I was worried you got the same treatment as fucking John Paul and got put into a Russian gulag, you know, because you just disappeared, man. Ogre Online, thank you for the $5. Sugar for Thumbs Up was the quickest ever match off social media beef. Usually the matchmakers don't even care about fighter beef. Yeah, I mean, well, in general, you know, Ogre Online, I think that Nasser Dean was supposed to get the title shot. But the fact of the matter is, Sean Strickland's a way bigger star than Nasser Dean. And after beating Fluffy, he just immediately got that leapfrog. And but I agree. I think the matchmaker saw the beef between them. They felt like Sean Strickland was just the bigger name than Nasser Dean, and they thought that was the bigger fight they could make. Which, thank God, by the way. Thank God. Speaking of, Donlo and I are working on a Khamzat Chimaev reaction video that's going to be coming out somewhat soon. So I think you guys are going to like it. But it's really nice to see you, Ogre Online. I really appreciate you coming, man. Glee Glog Shock, thank you for the $5. Shay, you need to be nominated for the Dumbest Chat Award. Some of the shit I read here is insane. Also, I hate you, Meme Big 8. Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes it's tough. I think actually my chat is better than most chats, but I do agree with you that there's a lot of times like I'm ranking people and I see the things people are saying, and it is tough. It's tough. It's hard though. Again, like right now there are 220 people in here. You can't categorize 220 people as a singular entity. You know what I mean? Like, think about sitting in an auditorium with 200 people just surrounding you and then categorizing that as one sole opinion. You know what I mean? Everybody in here is different, you know? But I agree. Meme Big 8 is a serious problem. JRC11, the Charlie says, hey, Jew, love. I love you too, JRC11. I really love you. I really appreciate you. I love you so much. Thank you. All right, next. Next we have Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo. Now, finally, we've made it through a ton of fights, and now it is time to officially begin our rankings. And we will be officially beginning our rankings with this one not making the cut. Listen, again, I think this is one of those fights that if we are talking about the pure ability of both of these fighters, especially at the time, I think it was extremely high level. I do. I think it is extremely, extremely high level. But at the end of the day, man, this fight did not represent extremely high level. I don't think both of these guys demonstrated their ability at the highest level. I think Conor demonstrated his ability at the highest level. Jose Aldo did not. And even aside from that, man, I think if you gave them a rematch, the fight would go on longer for sure, but at the end of the day, man, watch any Jose Aldo fight. That's what Jose Aldo does. Jose Aldo stands there, and then he fucking finds his moments to go body shot, overcut, leg kick. You know what I mean? The problem is Conor's a southpaw, not a lot of leg kick opportunity for him. And two, the way Jose liked to blitz at you with big, huge shots. Conor's entire game was just distance management, slide out of the way counter. That was his whole game. And unfortunately, I just feel like Jose Aldo doesn't match up that well to Conor. And that's why I think in general, this fight just doesn't quite meet the criteria to be what we're looking at today, which is the highest level fights overall. And again, while we're on this category, I'm sure some people, actually I'll save this one for a little bit later. But next, I hope Aaron T's not here to hear this one. But another one that I just feel like doesn't quite reach the criteria is Amanda Nunes versus Shevchenko. This was one of those fights when I was coming up with fights that I wanted to put on this list. I was like, oh yeah, Shevchenko Nunes. That beautiful. That one's going to be on here probably for sure. Then I went back and watched the fight. And again, it's one of those fights where, like, in terms of pure ability, these are the two best girls probably ever. But dude, this fight was so low output. It was so low output. It was just so pitter-pattery. They weren't really throwing that much. There was very little action. I remember round like 4, it was like 9 to 14 strikes. I was like, Jesus Christ. It was just so low output. Again, it was kind of like Nunes in the first fight kind of went after her at the very start and slowed down a lot. So in the second fight in particular, she was kind of being a lot more careful about going into range and fucking, you know, Shevchenko wanted a bunch of counter shots, and it just ended up being so low output that I was like, man, I just don't think this fight fits what we're talking about today. I don't think so. I just don't think so. Ogre Online, thank you for the $5, buddy. Right now, the UFC is trying to rehabilitate Paulo Costa's image for some reason. It's super weird. He's even lucky to be in the UFC for real. I think Costa's good. I think Costa's actually good, and I think he got a new team. But right before the Roman Kopylov fight, Costa got a new team, and I think it's really starting to show. I can't imagine he actually does really well at fucking 205, but Azamat in particular, he did match up against pretty well, like we saw, right? Azamat's a monster, but Costa from that orthodox to southpaw stance, you know what I mean, just ripping kicks off the back leg, catching Azamat coming in, you know what I mean, fucking breaking his arm. Like, he matched up to him pretty well, but like, let's be real, bro, he's never beaten Carlos Ulberg, and unfortunately, we're currently living in the Carlos Ulberg era. We're living in the era of Carlos Ulberg. No one's ever beating this guy. He's just too good. He's just too good. He's just a problem. Anyway, moving on. Guys, some of you guys aren't going to like this one. And I understand. I didn't like it either. This fight does not make the cut for me. Arman Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot, bro. It doesn't make the cut. It doesn't make the cut. And I hate to say it. This fight does not make the cut to me, and I understand a lot of people are upset about it. They're going, no. This was the greatest display of wrestling I've ever seen in my life. And what I would argue is, when's the last time you've watched this fight? That's my first question. And then based on their answer, because their answer might be, oh, I watched it yesterday. Then my next question is going to be, how many rounds did you watch of this fight? And they're probably going to say, I watched about 2 rounds. And I go, yeah, that makes sense. And the reason why that makes sense is because the scrambling was pretty crazy rounds 1 and then kind of round 2. And then genuinely this fight got a little sloppy. Truthfully, it just was like the shots weren't that great from either of them. They both started getting tired because they put on such a crazy pace early. It kind of reminded me of like Arman Islam round 3 when Arman kept taking shitty shots on Islam and kept getting shut down. Like, I don't know. That's not the high, you know what I mean? I don't know. Again, the scrambling was really crazy early on, but I urge you to keep watching that fight rounds 3, 4, and 5. Gamrot was like holding Arman up against the cage a lot of the shots started getting kind of sloppy. You know, I don't know. To me though, I'm not looking at like the highest level fight I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? That's just not what I'm thinking of when I saw that matchup, you know? But anyway. Let's see. What is next? I mean, I guess Ally Aquinta versus Khabib. Yeah, I memean, this is the one fight that, like, again, everybody forgets about, I feel like. But, you know, it is funny because Khabib did 50-45. He did 50-45 Ilia Quinta. But still, I just don't understand how someone can watch this fight and still be of the mind that Khabib was just this unbeatable marauder, because literally all Ilia Quinta did rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 was not back up, and then like literally Khabib's takedown ability like got minused by like 1,000. Like complete, like he lost like 99% of his takedown ability purely because Ilia Quinta just stood in the center and never backed up. Now again, Ilia Quinta, even, Ilia Quinta, like, he's compared to a lot of fighters of today, he doesn't really match up to them. You know what I mean? His striking's not really there. Doesn't mix. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But this motherfucker just didn't back up, and Khabib couldn't take him down, so Khabib just kept jabbing him from really far away. And then Ilia Quinta like didn't really want to push the pace. He didn't really want to fucking go after him at all. So, it ended up just being a jabbing contest rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5. But you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, just to see a fight like this and be like, yeah, Khabib still fucking grapple fucks Arman Tsarukyan. He still grapple fucks Islam Makhachev. I'm like, really? But, I've talked this point to death. Yeah, this one ain't making it. Let me see. Another one that's not going to make it is Mosvar versus Arnold Allen. It's not going to make the list. Mosvar, Arnold Allen, again, we rewatched that fight, members only, and I'm still blown away, completely shocked that they gave this fight to Mosvar. It's the worst robbery I've ever seen in my life. What dono did I miss? Oh, Ogre Online, thank you for the $5. Ogre Online, you didn't even answer where you've been, bro. I actually like legitimately worried about you, Ogre. I thought you died or something. Patty talking shit to Gamrot showed he learned nothing, and he's forgetting he's a plant again. His fight with Gay Cheese became a UFC classic standout. Yeah, and we may or may not talk about his fight versus Gaethje on this list. Who knows? Patty Gamrot is fascinating. I want to see Patty fight Gamrot because, again, the one strand of dignity Patty Pimblett has left for me at least is that he does have a really high submission ability. The problem is his wrestling ability is fucking atrocious. And, the one thing about Gamrot is Gamrot is going to test the wrestling, for sure. From my recollection, Patty Pimblett's not great when you put him flat on his back against, like, good opposition. But look, when Gamrot shoots, Patty's going to be looking for guillotines. He's going to be looking for anacondas and darces and shit. Maybe even, like, flying triangles up against the fence. Like, I'm excited. I want to see what's up with Patty. But, dude, Gamrot might, like, straight up just outbox Patty in close. Like, honestly. Though Patty's very durable. That's the thing. He's very, very durable. In a 5-round fight, it'd be interesting. Like, that's the fight that I personally want to see. But I can pick a lot of good reasons to favor Gamrot in that fight. I definitely could. But I could also see Patty have a very solid game plan for that fight as well. A lot of kicks, a lot of staying away from him, just threaten every single takedown with guillotines. It'd be interesting, but I don't know. Daniel Rosano, thank you for the 27 sec. Theme of fighting UFC fighter Jewish Batman. The theme of fighting UFC fighter Jewish Batman. I don't know what that means, man. The theme of fighting UFC fighters Jewish. I don't get it. I don't get it, Daniel Lysandra. I'm gonna need some more. I'm gonna need more there. All right, moving on. Another fight that unfortunately ain't making this list, man, and this kind of pains me to say, Yuri versus Alex Pereira 1 just ain't gonna quite make this for me. It's just not. You know what fight I think would be a lot closer to making this list is Onk versus Pereira 1, honestly. Now, again, I don't know. Maybe it may or may not make the list. Who knows? But, like, dude, Yuri Prochazka is such a problem. He's such a problem for a number of reasons. But, like, again, it's... How do I put this nicely? Sometimes he's retarded. Sometimes he's retarded. Bro, when you go back to his second fight with Pereira, he got knocked out for the same reason he got knocked out against Oldberg. Like, literally the exact same reason. Is that, it's so tough, man, because there was a moment in that Carlos Oldberg fight. There was a moment in that fight early where it was Carlos Oldberg, his knee by this point had already been blown out. He had literally just fallen over and then popped back up. Yuri stepped in with a jab, and he had this backhand up, and right as he jabbed, he already, like, instinctively started rolling underneath Oldberg's shitty winging lead hook. Like, you could tell that Yuri was somewhat prepared for that attack. But then, of course, like 30 seconds later, he decides to step in, same jab, but this time don't bring this hand up, and he get clipped right at the end of the face. And that's also why he got knocked out by Pereira in the second fight. He got dropped at the end of round 1 because he went in for a jab and dropped this hand, and then Pereira fucking just check hook cracked him. And then obviously, when the round reset, he got high kicked. But, Yuri is so dangerous offensively. He's very accurate. The pace he can put on you is insane, but just like these lapses in defense that we've always known that he has, it's just difficult, man. It's difficult. I think though, like, Yuri really is an exceedingly high level fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think he's so dangerous offensively. Like, for me, even though the Oldberg fight happened, like, nothing's really changed for me because we kind of, again, like, my first video I made about Yuri versus Oldberg was fucking titled the Yuri Prohashka problem, where the entire problem that I outlined was just fucking Yuri fucking just keeps dropping his hands as he goes after you because the dude's a fucking maniac, and there will always be a chance he gets clipped on the chin. So, like, nothing's per se changed for me. I still think Yuri really is, again, nothing's changed for me. But it's hard for me, this is an elite list, man. This is an elite list. And I think, like, someone like Ankalaev, who's just so much more sharper technically, is I think even probably deserves it more than Yuri Prohashka does, All right, next. Officially, we have made it to a new level of fights. We will officially begin with, obviously, Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier. And the thing that I have to say about Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier, it's funny. It's funny. When I was looking for ideas about this list, and I was looking up on Reddit, and I was asking ChatGPT, what's the highest level MMA fight ever? They all say Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones. They all say that. And I find that interesting. I find that interesting because there is no way on God's green fucking earth that this is one of the highest level fights of all time. It's not, bro. It's not. I'm telling you, Daniel Cormier does not ever in his life deserve to be put into the highest level fights of all. It's not. No. Dude, you ever seen this fight? Fucking Daniel Cormier got 50-45'd by Jon Jones. Listen, Jon Jones is someone that I do feel like as the years have gone on, people don't respect him like they used to for a number of reasons. Some of those reasons being he's gay. Some of those reasons being his resume has aged poorly. Some of those reasons being he ducked Francis Ngannou and he ducked fucking Tom Aspinall. Now that I agree with you, for sure. I agree with you. But Jon Jones, I do legitimately feel like his skill set holds up in today's MMA still. His skill set absolutely still holds up. He had phenomenal wrestling. From kicking range, he was elite. His boxing defense is the one big issue, and that's why he probably lost to Reyes, and that's why Gustafsson gave him problems. Daniel Cormier, dude, he's just such a fighter from a different era. He just waddles at you with no defense. He doesn't cut off the cage. he can't do anything to you once he gets you on the ground. Like, he literally can't do it, man. Like John Jones took down Daniel Cormier multiple times. This fight, literally twice. He took him down 3 times, but twice it was with double legs. And I remember Joe Rogan being like, "Oh my God, he's taking down DC," and I'm like, that's not that impressive because they're not having a wrestling match. Sure, Daniel Cormier is a very good wrestler for having a freestyle, folk style wrestling match, sure, but like Jones was just getting DC up against the fence, and DC is so stubby, you know what I mean? It was so easy for John to just lock his hands underneath the hips, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, Daniel Cormier's boxing was fine, but he had no defense, just waddled at you. He was so open to the body and fucking, like, dude, and this fight was not that. This fight was a wash, dude. It was literally 50-45. Daniel Cormier did not win a single round against John Jones. And people have the audacity to say this is one of the highest level fights ever. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. You know what was a more competitive fight than this one? Was Daniel Cormier versus post-leg break Anderson Silva on a week's notice. That was a legitimately more competitive fight because, you know, Daniel Cormier obviously got stood up twice against Anderson Silva because he couldn't do anything to him on the ground. Got hurt at the very end of round 3 with a big body shot. Now, that was, by the end of it, you could say that was kind of competitive, man. Poor Anderson Silva was gassed out of his mind after the very first round, yet he still hurt DC at the end. This just ain't it, man. This just ain't it. Ogre Online, thank you for the $10. A lot of people like Yuri and the company. A lot of people like Yuri, and the company likes Yuri. He's gotten too many title shots, though, especially since light heavyweight has had good competition for years. Onk, Olberg, and a few others. For him, it's Onk next. To be honest, I completely agree with you. Ogre Online. It should be Yuri versus Ankalaev. I'd be very excited for that fight. I'd be very, very excited. I guess the caveat about Yuri getting too many title shots is that for one, right, he did earn the first, or that the very first, it wasn't even like title shot. Right? When he fought Alex Pereira for the belt the very first time, it was because he was already champion and he blew out his shoulder and he relinquished the belt. You know what I mean? He was champ, relinquished the belt because he had a horrific injury. That I give him a lot of respect for. He didn't try to hold on to the belt. He gave it up. So he deserved that first fight against Alex. You know what I mean? Like, there's no question he didn't deserve that. The second fight against Alex, I forget. Who did he fight in between that fight? I don't remember. I don't believe it was Khalil and Jamal Hill yet, because those two were after that fight. But the second fight against Alex, he took that fight on 3 weeks notice to save an event. Oh, Rakic, thank you. So then Yuri knocks out Rakic. And I understand maybe one could argue that one fight wasn't enough. I guess you can argue that. But the thing is, Yuri stepped up on 3 weeks' notice to save an event because Conor McGregor pulled out. You know what I mean? He saved that event, right? Then after that, to knock out, he didn't knock out. Oh, no, he did finish Jamal Hill. To then knock out Jamal Hill and then knock out Khalil Roundtree, I agree he should not get another title shot after that he needs at least a couple more wins. But, based on all those caveats, I kind of understand. Why he got the title shots that he did, at least. But I definitely agree he should have Ankalaev next. That's the fight I'm excited for. All right, anyway, next. Now, this one I think is more deserving than Pereira, than DC versus Jones, but it still doesn't quite make the list for me. John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Guys, I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it, because this was a great fight. Don't get me wrong. This was a fantastic fight. But the truth is, man, like, I think the reason why most people respect this fight as much as they do is because at the time, John Jones was just a monster that it looked like nobody could stand up to him. And then all of a sudden, Gustafsson actually gave him a competitive fight. Like, listen, it's a great fight. Don't get me wrong. It's a great fight. But, like, to me, I don't know if this is actually deserving of fight of the year outside of, like, the shock factor that John Jones was actually given, like, a real run for his money. You know what I mean? But still, it was a close fight. It was a great fight. it's a great one, but I really think when you guys see my top 10, you guys are going to understand why it just barely didn't reach the tip. All right? Way Too Smoky, what dono are you talking about? Oh, Sasolic. Thank you for that song and versus Podion. I missed that donation. That I did miss. All right, this gives me a good time to organize because we're getting really close to my actual top 10. So this gives me time to organize. Okay. Let me see. I'm on a hunt for Way Too Smoky's donation that he's telling me I missed, even though I know I didn't. Way Too Smoky hurts to say that Dodson knocks out Pantoja due to recklessness. Fuck, dude. Listen. That may or may not be true. I cannot comment on that. Way Too Smoky. Fucking John Dodson. I don't fucking know. I don't know about John Dodson, bro. I don't know about John Dodson, dude. I don't know about him. I know he exists. That's about it. I know he exists. All right, next. We're getting close. Man. But a few more of these fights just don't quite squeak into the top 10 for me. One of which being Ilia Topuria versus Alexander Volkanovski, man. It just doesn't quite reach the top 10 for me. And the reason it doesn't is purely because of Ilia Topuria. Again, right, we all know this as an absolute fact. The only reason Ilia Topuria knocked out Alexander Volkanovski is because of the Islam fight. If he hadn't have taken the Islam fight on 4 months' notice, he wouldn't have gotten knocked out by Ilia Topuria. We know that for an absolute fact. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? Joe Rogan said so. That's what Joe Rogan said. He said that's what he said, so that's why. He would have eaten that shot. That shot that cracked him right on the chin, that literally fucking rattled his whole head directly on the tip of the chin with the cleanest counter I've ever seen. It just simply wouldn't have happened if he hadn't have been knocked out by Islam 4 months prior. I'm joking. I'm kidding. You guys know that I'm joking. No, the real reason this isn't on the top 10 is because of Volkanovski, dude. I hate to say this. It's because of Volk, bro. Ilia showed out in this fight. Ilia showed in this fight how insanely high level he is. The problem is, man, Volkanovski, again, it's a very high-level fight, but it's not a top 10 high-level fight of all time. And it's not because, Volk just couldn't really be in there with Ilia. He couldn't really do it. He had some moments. And you know what, man? I specifically remember. I was watching. This is prior to the fight. I was watching Volkanovski's little vlog, his little training vlog that he was doing for training for Ilia, and then Volk went to a boxing gym and he was doing a bunch of boxing sparring for Ilia. And I remember watching him do all this boxing sparring, and I'm like, dude, you can kind of tell he's not that clean of a pure boxer. Like Volk really isn't. And I don't know, man. I think that really showed in the fight. Like, I think for the most part, he did well popping the jab, trying to stay away, but every single time, you know what I mean? He did well for a singular round and then got knocked out because every time Ilia closed the distance, Volk has this bad tendency of leaning back with his chin in the air. We've all seen it. It's the same reason why Diego Lopez dropped him as bad as he did in round 2 of their first fight. It's just a huge problem that Volk has, and unfortunately, Ilia Topuria is just too dangerous for Volk. You know what I mean? And even round 1, man, those calf kicks that Ilia was landing round 1, dude, that was fucking spinning him around. It was a lot of damage early in that fight. Again, maybe if we were talking about just like what fight during the very first round was competitive, was really high level, I guess that can fit the criteria, but the problem is Ilia specializes in an area where Volkanovski's always been very weak, and that is why he got knocked out early. You know what I mean? That's what I'd say. That's what I'd say. Tony St. Mon, I think with $2 million. DC clearly won the second and arguably the third. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no. Maybe the second round. Maybe. I guess. The judges, at the end, all 3 judges did have it 49-46, which means the judges did give him a round. But, like, DC kind of just got bitched for the most part during that fight. Because, again, DC just waddles at you, bro. I think the real thing that helped DC, though, is that Jones has very little boxing threat. So it did allow DC to get into range more often. Obviously, Jones's, like, knees and kicks were good. But if he had, again, DC, man, you just got to watch him waddle at guys to get into the pocket, man. That's what you guys got to do. But anyway, let's see. Okay. All right. There's only a couple left. This one, I really, really wanted to add to the top 10, but I just couldn't do it. And that's Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. I wanted to add this, but I was just like, man, can I really add a fight that only lasted for 3 minutes? Can I actually do that and then respect myself after? I couldn't. I do believe, skill for skill, this is the highest level heavyweight fight we've personally ever seen. Again, I was the only person saying that Cyril Gane's being disrespected in this fight. I was saying he's being disrespected. Everybody thinks Cyril's just going to get destroyed in the first 20 seconds. I knew he wasn't, because stylistically, he really matches up well to Tom Aspinall. The footwork, the speed, he's been working on his grappling hard the last few years. He's been really making improvements. You know what I mean? This, to me, was the highest level heavyweight fight I've ever seen. The problem is, though, is like, it's one of those things, I feel like I know that for a fact, but we just didn't get to see it because it only lasted for 3 minutes. But, I hope this fight can re-happen, and I hope Cyril can keep his fucking fingers in a fist next time, But, for that reason, I just couldn't quite put it on the list. I couldn't quite do it. All right. And last but not least, before we finally get to the list, it's Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Early in this fight, man, it seemed like Petr Yan was straight up having some horrific PTSD flashbacks from Marab when Song was hunting for these takedowns. The truth is, though, man, Song Yadong is a good grappler. Song Yadong is very good takedowns. Very, very good takedowns. He's very strong. He's very girthy. Petr was defending beautifully. Now, Petr Yan, as this fight went on, kind of just started taking over as he normally does. Obviously, there's that one famous sequence where he comes in 1-2 duck under takedown, which is fucking beautiful. But, again, this is just one of those fights that as I start laying out this top 10, you guys are going to understand why this one just doesn't quite belong. This one just doesn't quite belong. All right. Are you guys officially ready to get to the top 10? Tony St. Mon, thank you for the $10 Canadian. Gus won the first and the third clearly, and arguably the second and the fourth. The strikes were the same, or at least significant strikes, but John landed cleaner, did more damage, and got one takedown. From my recollection, what gave John round 4 was the spinning elbow that he landed. That's what I remember. I remember round 4 was close, then John cracked him with that spinning elbow and hurt him, and that's what clearly gave him the round. But apart from that, like, no, yeah, I agree. I agree with you for the most part. Like, that fight was very, very close. But Jones just didn't fight with the right game plan. Jones fought Gus in that first fight exactly like he fought Dominic Reyes, and that's why both of those fights were so razor close. Compare Jones' game plan, the first fight with Gus, to the second fight with Gus, and you'll see why he destroyed Gus so badly in the second fight. Because, again, against Reyes and Gus in the first fight, he kept trying to close the distance with him, and he kept running into the boxing. Whereas what John should have done is stay away and just rip kicks, and then every time make Gus be the one that have to go first, then duck underneath the takedowns. That's exactly what he did in the second fight, and Gus got fucking destroyed. He got finished on the ground by ground and pound in the third round. But anyway. All right. Are you guys ready for the 10th highest level fight of all time? Are you guys ready? I will say there is one person on this list that is on this list a lot more than most other people are. Oh, you meant the 5th. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Jones could have lost that fight. All right. The 10th highest level fight in UFC history. Now, listen. You guys have to understand the criteria with this one. You have to. Because I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. But you got to understand the criteria. The 10th highest level fight in UFC history was Alex Morono versus Nico Price. And again, Nico Price is somebody who I was on the Nico Price hype train for many, many years, man. And it's a shame. I'm very sad that during his final retirement fight, they didn't allow him a post-fight speech or anything like that. But, that was sad. But the truth is, man, Alex Morono in particular, he is a martial artist to the fullest extent. He is a martial artist through and through. Alex Morono, he doesn't have a lot of attributes, but his skill level is so high. And, dude, this fight was a legitimate back and forth war between two absolute stallions in there, you know? Go, if you disagree with me, I guarantee you haven't watched this fight. I guarantee you, Nico Price was absorbing so many punches. Alex Morono, the footwork was so good. Dude, it was great. It was great. Like, even thinking about it now, like, man, it was a really, really good fight. All right, next. Oh, Ogre Online, thank you for the $5. Should be Sean versus Sandhagen on the White House card. As soon as Sean wasn't champ anymore, he starts bad-mouthing the UFC more and more on social media. Yeah, Sean O'Malley definitely, especially when it comes to, like, fighter pay and stuff, man. Like, I get it. If your livelihood is getting paid from the UFC, it's probably not a smart move to complain about something like that. I get it, right? Like, to each their own. I get it. I also agree, though, that it should be Sean versus Sandhagen. But, dude, the UFC needs to at least have one American win on this card. Because as of right now, every single American's going to lose probably except Sean O'Malley. But who knows? I remember Meme Big 8 once sent me a fucking paragraph in chat about how Zahabi stylistically just has it against Sean. And he swears to God he does. And I was like, all right, who knows? We'll see. But, listen, it's tough. Like, it's tough for someone like Sean O'Malley, who's in the UFC's favor, who's getting paid the big bucks, to then, bite the hand that feeds you. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. All right, next. The 9th highest level fight in UFC history. Truthfully. The order in which you could put some of these in, I can understand. I think you could change the order around for some of these. Right now, I'm even thinking about changing the order right now of what I have. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. I think the 9th highest level fight in UFC history is Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles Oliveira. I think so. I think so. I truly think so. In fact, I think so to such an extent that I'm changing my mind and Nico Price is going down to doesn't make the cut. It's going down to I think doesn't make the cut. I think Arman Tsarukyan, you guys, is truly that fucking good. I think Arman Tsarukyan genuinely is, dude, like, I think he's one of, like, the best, I think he's one of, like, the best generational fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. I really think that. And obviously, based on what we know now post this fight, bro, Charles Oliveira and Arman are the 2 best guys in the division by a mile underneath Ilia Topuria as we stand right now. Nobody holds a candle to them. Like, the fact that Charles did what he did to Max Holloway is you know, I mean, he just fucking big dicked him. It's sad that it wasn't a 5-rounder, but like, dude, you know, the grappling exchange between them, like, you know, Arman, with how nasty he is with the ground and pound, with the elbows, with Charles getting 3 fight-ending submission attempts every single round, fucking Charles cracking him at the start, you know, obviously you can find fights that are way more exciting. Obviously, but that's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here, man. Like, again, I feel like you can find moments where Gamrot and Arman got kind of sloppy. You know, it didn't look as pretty as the fight went on. But this fight was just, it was 2 of the absolute best guys in the division for modern day MMA. You know what I mean? You have full girth Oliveira. You've got fucking Arman Tsarukyan, who's out here fucking out wrestling former D1 guys in wrestling matches, who didn't even actually, like, who hasn't actually competed in wrestling in many, many years, and fucking the striking and the ground and pound, the submissions. Like, dude, it was just, like, it truly was one of the highest level fights ever. I really think so. All right, next. Fight Milk. Oh, thank you for the 2 pounds. Alex Pereira heavyweight girth measurements. He's looking girthy. He's looking girthy. He's looking very girthy, Fight Milk. He's looking very girthy, which I'm excited for. He's not looking nearly as chubby as he was recently, but I know he's like 250 pounds now, and I cannot wait for Joe Rogan. The first 10 seconds of his fight against Gon's going to be, God, how did he make 185? And then after Alex lands like his first 2 calf kicks on Gon, he's going to be like, that calf is already compromised. Look at how red it is. I'm so excited for that. Steve, thank you for the $5. Does ability include physical ability like speed, explosiveness, or just skills like timing and technique? Nope, it's all of it. That's why I use the word ability, because again, if I do say it's all skills and technique, then again, a bunch of dorks in the comment on the chat are going to be like, oh, it should be all flyweights then. It should be all flyweights. And I'm like, we're talking about your pure ability, your pure effectiveness being shown in the octagon. That's what we're talking about. Oh, Tony St. Mon, thank you for the $5 Canadian. I believe Prime Fedor has the potentiality to defeat every MMA fighter ever, even though he was a natty, chubby 185er. I mean, dude, Chael Sonnen gave him some work, man. Chael Sonnen gave him some literal work. But I don't. The only thing I truly know about Fedor Emelianenko is I've seen him armbar that 7-foot Asian guy, and then I've seen Lucas Tracy go, Fedor Emelianenko. That's all I know about him, man. That's all I know about him. I wish I could sit here and give you the X's and O's and the crafty crafties on Fedor's game, but I couldn't do it. All right, are you guys ready? Colt Killer Shore, give me a second, though. The next one on this list, again, I rearranged the order of this last second, and maybe I'll regret that. But the next fight I have on here as the highest level fight in UFC history, again, some people might not like this one. And I think the reason why some people might not like this one is because it gets overshadowed as a robbery to a lot of people. But I think when you really break down the crafty crafties of this one, It truly was just that good. And that is Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. Again, I feel like if it wasn't for the amount of people crying about how much of a robbery this was, more people would respect the high-level showing we got here. But, like, dude, the fact that, like, even the grappling, like, Sean O'Malley getting up off every single takedown. Sean O'Malley fucking Granby rolling, escaping round 3. You know what I mean? Dude, and the striking back and forth. They were both fucking cracking each other and hurting each other throughout the whole fight. Dude, you just did these, like, I think these are probably, these are the two best strikers, period. At 135. And 135 to me truly is probably the highest level division in the UFC. It's the absolute highest level division. And also to like Petr, who's so insanely well-rounded. Sean O'Malley showed how well-rounded he is in this fight if he's not fighting like a real world-class offensive grappler, to say the least. And also too, though, what does hold this fight back, unfortunately, is that we have seen that when Sean O'Malley fights a lot of girth, he struggles. At the time, though, Petr didn't have a ton of girth. He didn't. So that's what really helped him in the grappling. But still, man, the boxing exchanges, the striking exchanges, even the grappling exchanges. Sean took down Petr Yan at one point, dude. Like this, for such a high-level division, this is probably the best striking fight we've ever seen. And also on top of that, man, both very, very well-rounded guys. All right, next. Now, this one would be higher, but unfortunately, this guy, we held him back down here. We held him back because, unfortunately, his opponent just couldn't hang. Now, in this instance, his opponent was able to hang a fuck ton better than this other opponent, but still ended up not hanging. And I'm sure that might have given it away. Because at the number 8 spot, it's Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. It's Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway. Again, it's kind of similar thing as this one, right? Volk, unfortunately, just couldn't hang with Ilia. He just couldn't, right? He did very well round 1, got knocked out horrifically round 2. But, dude, Max Holloway, dude, go back and watch my hour-long breakdown for Ilya Charles. And I believe it was during the Ilya defense segment, I showed all the strikes Max Holloway landed on Ilya. Dude, he landed like 40 clean fucking punches on him throughout this fight. You know what I mean? Max Holloway, he matched up a lot better with Ilya than Volk did, because his footwork and movement was a lot better. He was using his range very well, making Ilya miss and stepping in and landing counters and fucking knee stomps. The knee stomps were a serious problem. But again, at the end of the day, what does kind of hold this fight back from being higher was the fact that Max got viciously knocked out round 3. He got viciously knocked out. But, this fight, I do think, dude, this fight's just one of those epitomes of ability shown in the octagon. And I know a lot of you guys are going to agree. Like, this is where we realized, again, there were definitely a lot of people who, again, just had this false notion that, Volkanovski would have been fine if he didn't get knocked out by Ilya. But then after this fight, we were like, oh, shit, okay, so Ilya actually is fucking him. Who the fuck knocks out Max Holloway like that? But again, Max Holloway, he was in there those first 3 rounds. The first 2 rounds were very competitive. Very, very competitive. Both of them landed great shots. What else can you say? What else can you say? All right. Number 6. Again, a lot of people think that I'm, this is something that I do struggle with, but a lot of people think that I'm a casual. They think that I don't know about old school MMA. And I'll tell you what, I've got a few fights on here that show number 7. I got a few fights on here that show that I'm not, and this one's going to prove that, because I think the 7th highest level fight we've ever seen for a number of reasons. And there is some uniqueness when it comes to this fight, why we know how high level it is. There's some uniqueness with this one. And the uniqueness is, this might give it away, was that this fighter, during this fight, we are almost 99.9999999% certain that this fighter was blasting pretty much every steroid in the book. And that's what made this fight as close as it was. And obviously this fighter fell off a fucking cliff after USADA came. It's GSP Johnny Hendricks, man. GSP Johnny Hendricks. Dude, Johnny Hendricks was so fucking juiced. Johnny Hendricks was the first real welterweight that the UFC had ever fucking seen. This dude was walking around 215 pounds compared to GSP's fucking 185. But the wrestling back and forth. See, you know what, Ellie? See, I think here's your problem, man. Here's your problem. It's not about what fight's the most exciting. It's not about what, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to look purely at two guys' abilities at the absolute highest level against each other. I mean, it was this one by far. It was this one by far. You know, I absolutely, I think it was above Topuria all the way, only because, again, for how amazing this fight was as it lasted, fucking Max Holloway got literally creamed out on. He got creamed out on. But this fight right here, I guarantee a lot of people haven't watched this fight in a long time. But Hendricks looked so fucking strong in this fight. He had cracked GSP a couple times early with these huge right hands, was wobbling him, though GSP stayed in there. GSP fucking landed his Superman jab to leg kick. GSP's reactive takedowns on a 215-pound Hendricks, fucking ducking these shots and double-legging him. He had Hendricks up against the fence, and then Hendricks starts landing those fucking elbows to the side of the head. I mean, like, dude, this, to see, GSP is one of the few old school guys that I feel like skill for skill absolutely holds up even in today's MMA. And Hendricks, again, despite not being nearly as skilled as GSP, again, was on a tremendous amount of steroids. And he was huge. He outweighed GSP by a huge margin. I mean, again, when USADA came in, Hendricks couldn't even make 185. He was missing weight at fucking middleweight. But, you know, he fought GSP down at 170. This was a very, very exciting fight. This was a very, very exciting fight. Oh, wow. Look at Bill Demand telling me what my list is about. Do you see the word skill written anywhere in my criteria? Bill Demand. Do you see the word skill? Do you see the word skill? There's literally, it's not even there. It's ability. And your ability is abso-fucking-lutely improved when somebody is on a lot of steroids. Oh, you're on drugs. That makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, I'm telling you, you got to go back and watch this fight. And again, people do say like Hendricks got robbed. I think you can definitely argue he should have won, but it was a much closer fight than I think people give it credit for. Much closer fight. But even, dude, if GSP fought today, he'd be a 55er. Again, he was walking around 185, GSP was. That's what fucking Islam and Renato Moicano, that's what all those guys walk around down at 55. But, you know, again, this was an incredible fight. This was an incredible fight. Now, moving on to the illustrious number 6 spot. To the illustrious number 6 spot, we have, of course, one of the highest level fights of all time. We have, I mean, I think this contest between these two people right here is definitely one of the few, like, dude, this fight was fucking, I mean, again, talk about two guys in their primes, two guys giving it everything that they had, two guys who were just higher level than the rest of the division, banging it out for our enjoyment. It is going to be Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. It is. It is, for sure. There's no question. Listen. I don't even... Okay, fine. I'm just joking. I couldn't even bullshit that. I had nothing to say. I tried. I had no bullshit to say. I literally didn't have anything to say. Okay, sorry. The real number 6. The real number 6. And I'm telling you, this one right here, the next 2 prove I'm not a casual, by the way. The next 2 prove I'm not a casual. Dude, the 6th best fight ever is Joanna Jędrzejczyk's first fight against Zhang Weili. Do you guys remember this fucking fight? This right here is the greatest women's fight that's ever happened. By far. We've never had a woman's fight nearly as good as this one was. The goddamn hemoglobin growing on fucking Joanna's face was goddamn insane. Truthfully, the striking exchanges back and forth. The striking exchanges back and forth of this fight was so insanely high level. It's a little sad to see how the second fight went because Joanna got knocked out so bad. But she was a little bit older. What is hemoglobin not? Is that not how you say it? What is it? But yeah, I think it's probably the best women's fight of all time. I mean, dude, Joanna, dude, like she comes from such like a long, like pure Muay Thai career. Fucking Zhang Weili, even though Zhang Weili just fucking can't beat Rose Namajunas down at 115 pounds, still, when we're gauging skill, I know, I'm sorry, everybody, my bad. But this fight, this I think is one of the highest level fights ever. You know what I mean? Honestly. To this day, I also don't know what happened with her and Jamal Hill. All right, next, number 5. Now, this is one that I'm telling you guys, this is one that definitely shows that I'm not a casual. Thank you, Meme Big 8. This one shows that I'm definitely not a casual. I already knew I wasn't a casual, but this is one only the hardcores are going to fully understand. And if you're not a hardcore, I understand why you might not like this decision. But I think the 5th highest level fight in the UFC. Again, not the most exciting, not the most, not the most fucking, we were on the edge of our seat watching. Just, if I'm talking, like I'm looking at 2 people and saying your skill level matched up against each other is leagues above everybody else. Number 5. Again, this is a hardcore pick right here. It's TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, man. It is. And if you think otherwise, you're wrong. You're wrong. Go back and watch TJ Dillashaw versus Dominic Cruz. Go back and rewatch it. The footwork between both of them was astounding. Like, I couldn't believe the footwork I'm seeing here. Now, I do hate to say this, but I think round 3 is when the prime of Dominic Cruz fully ended. That is where his prime ended, because TJ Dillashaw kept going for head kicks and like strikes upstairs the whole time. Then like around round 3, he started hammering leg kicks on Cruz. And I remember there was one leg kick round 5 that fucking like Dominic Cruz like almost fucking like, dude, he was hurt bad, because truthfully I feel like that's how you beat Dominic Cruz. That's how you beat Dominic Cruz, is just purely the fucking is just purely again, when someone's like game is to go like this against you, you just gotta try to limit their movement. It's so hard for him to check when he's constantly circling and trying to move away. But I'm telling you, if you think otherwise, you just haven't watched this fight. You haven't watched this fight. You have not watched this fight. And it's funny, I see someone saying, no, that fight was mid. Well, yeah. The excitement level means absolutely fuck all for what we're talking about today. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, Seaweather. Yeah, exactly, Seaweather. You should fucking see Dominic Cruz's head movement in this fight. TJ Dillashaw was, for like 95% of this fight, was hitting goddamn nothing but air. The counters that Cruz was landing, and also, too, the wrestling exchanges back and forth between these guys. This is one that I rewatched this morning, and I was kind of blown away. In terms of like skill level back and forth, like this was really, really high. Really, really high. Now, obviously, again, I think if TJ was hammering those leg kicks earlier, because that's what, again, Cruz did get horrifically injured after this fight and was out for a bunch of years and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But then when Henry Cejudo came back to fight Cruz, Henry was just slamming leg kicks on him. And we kind of found out that that was just sort of the answer to Dominic Cruz a little bit. And then he got injured again and was out for some more years. And yeah, I feel bad for Dominic Cruz. I do, but I'm telling you, you got to go back and rewatch this fight. If in terms of pure ability and skill level from two people, it was pretty fucking. It was just elite. It was absolutely elite. I was very surprised. I was very, very surprised. Way too many individuals. Cruz would have ended early if he had faced Aldo early. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That could have that sounds like a very tough fight to me. Again, Dominic Cruz's entire style was built off the fact that he used to have to fight at 155. And because he had to fight at 155, he knew that he just couldn't, he didn't have the girth. He couldn't withstand he just couldn't withstand getting hit clean against these guys. So he built this style to constantly be moving and shifting, but the problem is that much footwork makes it hard to check kicks. It does. It makes it hard to check kicks. So, but regardless, man, I was blown away by how phenomenal his head movement was against TJ. Like, I will say wholeheartedly, that fight right there, I've never seen better footwork in a fight in my life than both from Cruz and TJ in that fight. Let's see. Bisping versus GSP. We got to add that one. And Hokit versus Blades. Hokit versus Blades in terms of the most highest level fight ever. Yeah, that's going to be ranked pretty fucking low. All right, let me scroll back down in chat. LEC, you discredit Islam versus Volk for yada, 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 yada. LEC, dude, LEC, Volk ain't making this list, bro. Volk ain't making this list, bro. He's not making this list. Just shut up, dude. Volk ain't making this list. He doesn't deserve it. All right, next. So, Blades, Hokit. Yeah, bro, this fight ain't making the cut. This fight is just simply not making the cut. This was not a very high-level fight. Was it insanely exciting? Was it super, super exciting? Was it fucking like a nail biter? Yeah, for sure. But like, was it the highest level fight? Definitely not. Hokit he's super fucking fast, but he just kind of lunges at you, leaves himself a little open, but the speed kind of hides his shitty entries at times. Blades, the fact that he tried to box with Hokit the whole time was a huge mistake. Should have been trying to like spam leg kicks on him. But you know. Regardless. And let's see, Bisping versus GSP. Both of these guys were so horrifically fucked up there in this fight. Obviously, we know that GSP had like horrible like stomach ulcer cancer. Bisping busted his rib, he said on JRE like a week out from this fight. Michael Bisping might be one of the lower level middleweight champions in history, which, I still think it's impressive what GSP did and all, But, it's not going to quite make the cut. It's not going to quite make the cut for those reasons listed. But still a great fight. Wait, do anything of the $2? Sandhagen versus TJ was higher level. Corey got robbed. I agree Corey got robbed for sure. Corey should have won that fight. That was a really bad decision. I don't know if I quite agree it was higher level, though. I don't know if what I saw from Sandhagen and TJ demonstrated higher level ability than that fight. It's funny seeing people ask, what does higher level mean? I mean, the sport of mixed martial arts, right? Like you got boxing, you've got wrestling, you've got jiu-jitsu, you've got fucking other martial arts too you can throw in there. You know what I mean? And, some fighters are able to put it together in a way that makes, and they also have their strength and their speed and their attributes. You know what I mean? And some fighters put it together in a way that is just otherworldly, and what we're doing today is looking at the fights in which fighters demonstrated the most ability, But anyway. Okay. Moving on to number 4. This one should also prove I'm not a casual. Yeah, it's Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson too. It is. Going back and rewatching this fight, which I also did this morning. Dude, it just showed how, bro, fucking Henry Cejudo's a 125er, bro. Henry Cejudo ain't a 35er. It's very impressive that he went up to 135, and he ended up beating Marlon Moraes for the belt, and then he ended up beating Dominic Cruz, though Dominic Cruz was fucking, older and full of mold and had a bunch of injuries, and his style had been kind of figured out to a higher extent than it had in the past. But regardless, he's a 25er. He was way bigger than fucking Mighty Mouse 2 in this fight. You compare their back muscles, bro. Like, Cejudo was the larger guy, but the scrambling ability you saw in this fight was insane. DJ's footwork and his striking was very, very good. Oh no, sorry, not welterweight Marlon. What's the guy? His last name's also Moraes. Michael Moraes, I think, the bantamweight. Michael Moraes or something. But yeah, I mean, listen, I can go on and on about this fight, but I think you guys get it. Right? The scrambling, insanely high level. The fact that DJ could even scramble like he did against an Olympic gold medalist is crazy. I mean, again, when Aljamain Sterling was out wrestling Henry Cejudo up against the fence, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's, it's up against the fence. It's a different sport. Right, and Aljo's bigger and taller and longer and younger, and you know what I mean. But DJ is just straight up like Granby rolling reversals like out in the open against fucking Cejudo. And I guess right. Cejudo technically, I don't think Cejudo went to college, did he? Cejudo just right out of high school went straight to training freestyle for the Olympics. So I guess he's not used to those scrambles because in freestyle wrestling there aren't as many. Because if someone secures a takedown, you just belly out and you wait for the referee to save you. So but obviously Cejudo did do folk style his whole life. But I guess it's a big difference if you're not going to do folk style through college. Regardless, it's just such an insanely high level fight. So insanely high level. Colt killing the $17. Can you add Marab versus Umar and Silva versus Hunt? Sure thing. LEC, dude, you got to get over it, man. Volk had his chance of making the list with the two. He had his chance. He's not. All right, Bigfoot Silva versus Mark Hunt. I don't think I've ever seen this fight. I truly don't believe I've ever seen this fight in my life. It looks like it was a war. I don't know though. I've never watched it. I don't know what happened. So for that reason, it doesn't quite make the cut. I mean, it's there. I added. I've never seen it. I don't know. But again, this looks like it was some crazy war, and that's not what we're not ranking the craziest wars that have ever happened. In fairness, right? I got to keep saying that because people are having a tough time understanding that. Okay. The number 3, wait, 6, 5, 4, yep, the third highest level fight that I feel like I've ever seen. Absolute highest level fight I think I've ever seen. Number 3. This is a big one. I think a war can be technical, but that's not exactly what we're fucking looking at, you know. Like someone got mad about TJ versus Cruz, and they were like, Orabai versus Rebecca was better. I'm like, well, that's not what we're fucking doing, is it? All right, what do you guys think number 3 was? I'm curious if you guys can guess it. I'm really surprised by the amount of people saying Jan Aldo. No, it's not Jan Aldo. It's definitely not Jan Aldo. I really don't. I don't know. I think that fight maybe. I actually, to be fair, didn't even really think about that fight. But no, that fight does not come to mind personally for me as a top tenner. Yeah, a lot of people got it right. Yeah, I've got Merab Umar at number 3. I've got Merab Umar at number 3. Guys, fucking, do you guys know that, like, listen, I ride pretty high on the Mario Batista hype train. I do. I think Mario Batista is one of those guys that if he was fighting 10 years ago, I think he might be the GOAT. Because Mario Batista's so well-rounded, and to see what fucking Umar Nurmagomedov did to him on the ground is kind of crazy. Just completely fucked him up, just every which way on the ground. That toe hold was a legitimately good toe hold attempt. Very good toe hold attempt. Very, very good. But apart from that, just fucking constantly taking him down, getting to the body lock, passing his guard, pretty much all 3 rounds, right? I think Umar's grappling on a skill-for-skill level. He can definitely, dude, when he put fucking Corey Sandhagen in the goddamn truck and used that to take his back, I was like, I can't even believe you even know how to do that. Like, I can't even believe that. Fucking, I'd be shocked if I ever saw Islam do that. I know Khabib ain't doing that shit. In terms of, just an all-around grappling skill level. And, even, dude, here's the thing, right? Khabib couldn't take you down out in the open for shit. You see Umar Nurmagomedov's double legs out in the open against Corey Sandhagen. I'm like, holy shit, you're fucking insanely well-rounded. His kicks are very, very good. His movement's very good. His boxing's improved, but his boxing defense is the one area that I think he's still a little shaky at. And obviously, Merab Dvalishvili might have the best attributes anybody's ever had, ever. You know what I mean? Literally ever. And I mean, the wrestling exchanges back and forth in this fight, Merab in general, I just think he's such a fucking problem. And I mean, I don't know, man. I'm running out of ways to describe this fight other than what I feel you guys already know. Even for Merab to crack Umar at the end of the fight to take it, I mean, the fight was very exciting. For Merab to kind of be getting outskilled early and then still just to fucking that pace that he can put on. Merab in terms of ability is just he's just such a fucking freak. And, just ended up outworking Umar, out-wrestling him, fucking outboxed him too at a certain point. Well, he outboxed him later on in the fight. Early in the fight, Umar was the one outboxing, even cracked him once very cleanly and hurt him. But, you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Merab's physicality is on another universe, and, this fight was just such a treat to watch. I really think as we stand right now, it's tough to say, but before Piotr Yan, these were the two absolute best bantamweights probably ever. I don't think there's ever any other bantamweight that would have beat these guys until fucking Piotr Yan came along in that second Merab fight. Oh my God, Joker, thank you for joining the fan club. I really, really appreciate it, Joker. You now have access to a literal infinite amount of content. A literal infinite amount of content for $5. If you want to join the members-only Discord, let us know. I promise you, you will not regret your decision. You will not regret it. Doing things. Dustin versus Alvarez 2 is a great mention. Is it? From my recollection, that fight was just kind of like a bloody fucking war. Like a stand in the pocket and bang kind of war. You know? But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've rewatched that one. It's been a while. Joker, I'll make it easy on you. Joker, go to my most recent members only video about when we reacted to Mosvar versus Arnold Allen. The top pinned comment is going to be a link to the Discord. About Dustin versus Islam. I mean, Islam was world class in that fight. Dustin was good. I don't know if he was world class. Like, Dustin just was able to survive and eventually, like, have a couple of moments. That's kind of the extent to it. But that's the same reason why, like, Volk didn't quite make the cut with his fight against Ilia. You know what I mean? What did I score? DJ Cejudo? I thought DJ might have squeaked it out on him, but it was very close. It was very, very close. Very, very close. But yeah, that's kind of the problem, was that, like, Islam was a 6-1 favorite. So, like, I truly, I don't even want to say I think. We rewatched that fight members only. I had Islam 5-0. 5-0, and then he finished him in the 5th round. Yet because, like, Dustin survived and, like, had the occasional moment, like, people kind of... And also, too, Islam ended up getting nicked. He got nicked by a stray elbow. And then because he was bleeding, people kind of subconsciously think that Dustin and Islam was more of like a back and forth war than it really was. Like, people always say, they go, no, fucking Dustin won round 4 because that's where he got cut. You go back and watch the fight, Islam was landing the way cleaner shots. Dustin, he got taken down and got his back taken at one point. There was one moment that Dustin had. Islam grabbed the tie clinch on Dustin, and then Dustin started ripping punches to the body while he had the tie clinch, and then Islam didn't even really react, in fairness. He just kind of held on to it, and then there was another moment where, like, they kind of separated, and then Dustin kind of threw a stray elbow that, it wasn't like a hard thudding elbow, it just kind of, it was one of those slicing nicks, and then Islam started bleeding, and then again, everybody goes, oh wow, like, they subconsciously think that they had this back and forth gnarly war, but the truth is, Islam was just controlling the whole fight. Like, I thought he won every round. I thought so. I don't remember all the exact sequences round 4, but it's a members only video that you can watch right now. We reacted to it, and we're looking at round 4, and I'm just like Islam he outboxed him round 4 as well. Like, he just cleanly outboxed him. Anyway, all right, you guys ready for number 2? Are you guys ready for number 2? This is another one, man, where, obviously this guy is kind of allergic to not having extremely high-level fights. And this guy, of course, again, is going to be Piotr Yan, and it is Piotr Yan versus Merab, too. I mean, again, I'm just going to kind of repeat myself here a little bit. But I think that Merab's attributes are probably the best the UFC's ever fucking seen. Like, literally ever. A lot of the same reasons in this fight, Merab, just the pace, the strength. He's so fucking strong. His striking had improved a ton. He's got the attributes that just fucking don't make sense. And even though he was getting pretty fucked up in this fight, he just hung in there the whole goddamn time, was constantly pushing. Fucking Piotr Yan displayed some of the highest level skill I feel like I've ever fucking seen in my life. And it's just fucking, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had a 5-0. I had a 5-0. I had a 5-0. I had a 5-0, Piotr. I had a 5-0 myself. I didn't think Merab won a single round. In fact, Daniel Cormier thinking that Merab had such a close fight was what triggered my fucking video about him. Oh, okay. So high level MMA fights can only see again. You guys are like, I swear, like people are like, they feel like all of these fights. Like if it's not some back and forth war, it doesn't belong. What are you guys talking about? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? The criteria is not they had to have had a razor close, insane fucking war back and forth, and that's what this means. No, that's not what this means. Fights in which the fighters demonstrated the most ability. Another funny one is that Max Holloway got viciously knocked out in this fight in the 3rd round, but nobody complained that one was on here. Way too smoky. Thank you for the $5. Can we have Dustin versus Charles between the clinch, Muay Thai, boxing, forward, takedown defense, and submissions? Honorable mentions tier. Thank you, Freddy Ninja. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah, we can do that way too smoky for sure. But yeah, I mean, to me, like this, dude, the ability shown in this fight was just fucking bonkers to me. Just absolutely bonkers. Completely bonkers. I don't have Corey versus Jan on here. I thought the first few rounds were close, but Corey never landed anything like super significant. And then obviously he ends up getting dropped really badly. I believe it was the 3rd round with that spinning back fist right hand dropped him. And then it was, I mean, I don't know. It's up there. But it was kind of like, yeah, again, it was just kind of like Corey doing a lot of movement, landing a lot of shots, Piotr just kind of covering up, and then he ends up dropping him, then just taking him, and then just taking over. If it is way too much domination, it shows the other side wasn't as high level. Yeah, maybe if fucking Merab wasn't like the fucking GOAT at bantamweight prior to this fight. How about that? Like, let us please remember that Merab was like considered good. He was like, people had him as the greatest fucking bantamweight of all time prior to this fight. And then again, because of all of the aspects that make him so insanely high level, for then Piotr to probably come in, I might say this might, I obviously, I think the next matchup we have here does outdo this one a little bit. But like, this might have been the highest level singular performance I've ever seen somebody have, was probably Piotr Jan. Exactly. I mean, some people think Merab still is the GOAT of bantamweight. I mean, fucking there you go, man. There you go. Colt Killer, thank you for the $17. Can you add Charles versus Justin and Jan versus Figgy? Sure. But I guess before we do number 1, yeah, I'll add the ones you want. You wanted those, then way too smoky, you wanted Dustin Charles. Okay. I guess we can add those before we finally conclude with number 1, which number 1 is going to surprise you guys. Nobody has guessed number 1 yet. That I've seen in chat. Not a single person has guessed it yet. This one's under the radar, but you guys are going to agree when you see it. It's one of those, like, you don't think about it, but then as soon as someone says it, you go, the entire chat in unison is going to go, oh, as soon as I do it. Anyway.
Yan arguably only truly lost to Merab the first 10.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. He only lost Merab the very first time. Yeah, and he obviously was injured in that fight. Definitely. But I mean, like, yeah, you hear what you say. Like, there's an argument he didn't lose to there's an argument that he didn't lose to Sean O'Malley, even though I think he did. But it was obviously a razor close fight. Razor close fight. Not Shavkat Gary, not Cody Dominic Cruz, not Volk versus Islam. It is definitely not Conor Habib. Let me see. What was it? Okay, and then you want Charles Justin and Jan Figgy.
What's up, I am getting my grappling matches uploaded. First time competing at purple belt. Went 1-1 in Dave, then absolutes I lost, but Kimura arm off.
Dude, Kimura somebody's arm off? That sounds awful. I don't want to see someone's shoulder get torn apart. That sounds terrible. But I am happy for you. All right, here we go. Last one. Jan versus Figgy. Maybe. Who knows, Vixen Spider? Who knows? Okay. All right. So to get through these, right? To get through these. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. I mean, why does this one just not quite make the cut? Well, you know, I think it's an interesting fight. Obviously, this was pre-Girth Oliveira. That's why it didn't make the cut for me, for one. It's pre-Girth Oliveira. This is not Oliveira at his best. We now live in a post-Girth world with Charles Oliveira. But in this fight, he was pre-Girth. Also, you know, Dustin Poirier is a good matchup for Charles because, like, the one, like, reckless aspect of Charles is his boxing defense and how, you know, reckless he can be pressuring. And obviously, Dustin's a very good boxer. So there is, like, a good stylistical advantage that Dustin had. But, you know, I mean, let's be real. Dustin Poirier's been submitted many a times. He's been submitted many a times. It was an amazing fight. It's a very exciting fight. For me, like, it's one of my favorite fights to watch. But in terms of, like, seeing two guys at the highest fucking level of the sport going after it with whatever skills and attributes they're bringing into it, to me, it just didn't quite fit. But I understand why it's a fan favorite. That I understand. Kind of the same thing for, I mean, this one even worse. Like, why Gaethje Charles didn't make it? Well, because Gaethje fought like shit. Gaethje fought like a fucking numbnut. That's why. Gaethje had probably the worst performance I'd ever seen anybody perform ever. Fucking falling over his own feet, throwing hooks and shit. Like, dude, like, no, he was terrible. He was absolutely terrible. And, you know, Charles just did what he did there, you know. He did what he did. Figgy versus Jan. Again, it's one of those fights like Figgy had some big moments. Like he got Jan off of his back early, took him down. He did drop Piotr at one point. It's because I just don't like Piotr's high guard to guys with a ton of power. I'm not a huge fan of it. But, you know, again, for the most part, I feel like Piotr he's just such a higher level than Figgy. Like, I just didn't think Figgy to kind of deserve to be in there. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Figgy didn't deserve to be in there with him in the context of being added to this fucking tier list. You know what I mean? Into this top 10, I should say, right? Again, he had some big moments, but I just don't see the absolute highest level of the highest level when I see these two guys in particular fighting. You know what I mean? But again, it was a very good fight. Oh, Hamzat Burns and Dricus Sean won. All right. I typed in Dricus versus Burns like a fucking idiot. Okay, it still worked out. All right. I mean, listen, in terms of Sean Strickland versus DDP1 in particular, here's the thing, man. I'll tell you what. Sean Strickland DDP2 was a very high-level fight. That was a high-level fight. This first fight, Obviously, Dricus is a very good striker. But this first fight, it was all girth. And it was all Dricus just being a fucking marauder. You know what I mean? But Dricus in the second fight, now that was high level. That was a mix of Dricus being extremely girthy and then just completely outpointing Sean Strickland. Now that was a super, super high level context compared to this one. This one was more back and forth. This one was more of a war. But like, again, it was just Dricus absorbing jabs and then rushing at Strickland with big overhands. And then, mixing in takedowns. Again, it was a good fight. Right? Again, it's just here it was all girth, not as much technical prowess versus the second fight. That was girth and technique put together. You know what I mean? And so to me, that would rank higher than this one, even though this was a good fight as well. Rory Bray, thank you for joining the fan club. I really appreciate it, Rory. Listen, if you now essentially have access to a literal infinite amount of content, straight up infinite amount of content, for only $5 too. It's a phenomenal deal. Nobody ever leaves the membership program. Let's just say that. If you want to join the members only Discord, please let us know. We'll get you in there. All right. Was he injured in the second fight? I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I did not know that. All right, and then of course, fucking Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. Yeah, this fight was definitely not the highest level. This was definitely not the highest level fight I've ever seen. Khamzat, the highest level aspect of his game got neutralized because Gilbert wanted to fucking swing off of his back. Khamzat, there was no distance management. There was no fighting behind his range. It was just, I'm going to sprint at you, Gilbert Burns, and I'm going to fucking run into overhands and shit. And you know what? It was a good fight. It was an awesome fight to watch. It showed how bad Khamzat is as a striker. But you know what? Khamzat fucking does offensively, he's dangerous. For sure. He had a broken arm and staff. That's why I hardly threw anything. Interesting. I didn't know that. All right. Are you guys ready for number one? Are you guys ready? This is it. We finally conclude our mission today. Who do you guys think it was? Pantoja. I don't know, maybe. Sexual time. I mean, listen, guys, that was a good fight. It was a good fight. Hokit Blades, no. McDonald's versus Lawler 2 or Islam versus Volk 1. Again, guys, I've noticed a pattern with some of you guys today. A lot of you guys today. That it's like people are thinking to themselves like they're thinking that this list is just like who had the craziest back and forth war, Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald 2. That was an insane war. I don't know if it's the highest level fight we've ever seen. JDM versus Islam, he's not talking about it? Well, I just did talk about it. Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock 1. That was a good one. Islam JDM, nope. Nico Price versus Alex Morono 2, nope. Izzy versus Alex 1, nope. Yeah, bro, Merab is number 1 and 2, but not Islam. Well, he's number 2 and 3. I never said he was number 1, but, yeah, Merab definitely deserves to be there, man. He's the fucking bantamweight GOAT with the best attributes ever. John Jones and his wife, we're getting closer. Aljo Ivlev, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Tuivasa Teixeira, we're getting closer. We're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. Jones versus Gus 1? Hell no. Jones versus Gain? Hell no. Jones Cormier? No, that's right here. That's on the didn't make the cut. Ilya Charles? No. Masvidal Burns? Maybe. Jan Sterling 2? Maybe. Volk versus Islam? He's just trolling? Maybe. That's a possibility. Walker Reyes? No. DC Rumble? No. Ramiro Adesanya? No. Cody versus Cruz? Maybe. Askren versus Masvidal? Maybe. Okay, I'm going to start giving you guys some hints. Okay. In this fight, there was a moment where the referee slips and falls over and hits the back of his head. And they needed to take a second. They needed to take a break to let the referee recover. That actually happened. Guru versus Arman. Okay, the second hint. And there's a reason why you guys don't know this one. It wasn't in the UFC. That's cheating? I mean, I don't know. Should the fight be in the UFC? DJ Rodtang, the highest level fight ever? Okay, I mean, listen. You guys are getting closer. I'll tell you what. You guys are getting closer. Mighty Mouse versus Moraes? Ooh, you're getting closer. You guys are getting closer to guessing number one. MVP Douglas Lima? Ooh, you're getting warmer. Makhachev versus Cage Warriors Cans? Okay, now you're red hot. You're literally red hot. You're on fire. Gooch versus Cape? Okay, now you're hot. Now you're really hot. Now you're literally on fire. Arman versus Giorgio? No. You know what though? Let me hold on. Let me fix the now that we're on the last one, I can get rid of the big block that we had on there to make this a little bit more aesthetically pleasing for after the fact. Let's see. Guys, this fight did not occur in the UFC. I already told you guys. Second, everything with 2 Australians, 3 Australians. People forget, man, Guru didn't even train for Arman. Listen, I wouldn't mind a rematch. I honestly wouldn't mind a rematch. But Guru should really get into like a real fucking wrestling gym. All right. Enough stalling. The most highest level MMA fight of all time. I did see one person get it right. Tony St. Motley with $2 Kimbo Slice versus Data 5000. No, that's already here. The highest level mixed martial arts fight that I personally believe ever took place in the history of the world. Truly. I think this fight, there was more. I think this fight in particular. I think the mid-fight adjustments during this fight is what really separates it from any other fight that's ever happened. The first 10 seconds of this fight is completely different than the next 10 seconds. And the next 10 seconds of that fight is completely different. Like, the game plan for both of these guys kept shifting as the fight was going on. And I think that is what truly makes this more high level than any other fight that I've ever seen. Ever. The highest level mixed martial arts fight that has ever happened, it was me versus that little Asian boy in that backyard. I think, dude, early on in that fight, like, my game plan was to go in there, wrestle, take him down, and as soon as I felt his strength off that first single leg attempt, I knew I had to switch up the strategy. I had to switch it. I couldn't. So I switched my strategy, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna kick. And then I went, because I used to be a Taekwondo prodigy. And then I swear to God, I went to kick, and I was like, oh my God, I can't feel my legs. Like, straight up, I couldn't feel my legs at all. I couldn't. And I was like, oh shit, I can't kick. Because I had never had a fucking MMA fight before. I was nervous. So I'm like, okay, I can't kick. I need to switch up my game plan. And then I started boxing. And that's when it opened up for me. I started boxing his face off. And then the fight ended when I came in, jab, overhand, knocked him out. And Co first place with it. Yeah, it's Volk versus Islam. It's Co first place. I'll have that as Co first place. Yeah, Volk versus Islam. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, Volk versus Islam. I mean, was there ever any was there literally ever a question? Is that picture real? Just type in Shea Blair on YouTube and you can find this video. Yeah, I mean, was there ever any question? Yeah, of course it is. It's the highest level fight I've ever seen by far. I'm still oh yeah, sorry. Let me get out of the way for you guys. I'm still fucking blown away by fucking. I mean, again, at the time we just didn't know how good of a striker Islam was. We had no idea. Volkanovski, like people forget, man. Lucas Tracy thought that Volk was gonna get squashed like a bug. I remember the title and thumbnail he made for that video. He's gonna get squashed like a bug, and then Volk went in there and he broke Islam. Just like when it comes to attributes, Volk's attributes in that fight were fucking insane. He was basically Marab, but what puts him ahead of Marab is the skills were absolutely fucking elite. That reverse butterfly hook he hit on Islam round 5 to get on top, oh my lord, and separate. He just kept getting up and fighting the hands and fighting every single takedown scramble and putting on such a pace. But then on top of that, the fact that for 80% of that fight, Volk was hitting nothing but air. He was hitting nothing but air, and Islam kept countering him and cracking him, and Islam was the one on the back foot moving away and avoiding strikes and landing counters. I was like, holy fuck. So high level, man. So fucking high level. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really think Volk won the fight, only because round 2, Islam, almost dropped him with that, slide back counter that cracked him right on the chin, and Volk started, when Volk started, practically running backwards off that shot, Volk never replicated anything that round. Volk never replicated anything that round to get to that point, you know what I mean? There was that one moment people thought that he rocked Islam, but Islam just slipped as he hit the back of the cage. You literally see it, if you slow it down, you see Volk's knuckles miss and go behind Islam's head, and then Islam hits the cage and falls over. Round 4. It's a good question. Yeah, the problem with round 4 is, man, the judging criteria is not clear about what positional grappling wins you in a fight. It's not. Like, nowhere in the criteria, again, the biggest problem with the judging criteria is it just says cumulative damage, or, cumulative attacks. They call it damage, but they also refer to grappling as damage in the criteria, so it's a little, it's just a word. It doesn't mean purely you're causing trauma necessarily, but it says cumulative attacks aren't as scored as high as immediate attacks. But it doesn't say at what point. It does not say at what point cumulative takes over immediate, right? Like, Islam getting to the back is like scoring very highly in terms of immediate impact, or immediate. You know what I mean? It's immediate, right? But then fucking Volk landing all those little ground and pound shots from behind himself. I mean, it's more cumulative, but like at what point does the judging criteria doesn't say. And the judging criteria also doesn't specifically define what like achieving a position in grappling necessarily gives you. I mean, all it says is that the criteria says when it comes to effective grappling, people threaten with submissions or achieve advantageous positions that can contribute to the end of the fight. Taking somebody's back with a body triangle absolutely is significant when potentially, being able to end a fight, right? But then to just get to that position and hold it, and then the person starts punching you from behind, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people do try to assert, they go, well, damage is the number one criteria, and that's why he won that round. I'm like, well, it's not. It's not. It's not purely who's landing more strikes. It's just the criteria, it's not defined. You know what I mean? It's not defined exactly. Like, it'd be nice if the criteria said, if somebody gets to the person's back but then doesn't do anything with the back, then it doesn't really mean much. That could help us decipher this. It just doesn't. It's just not that clear. That's the problem. I mean, it'd be nice. It's like, yeah, so you got to side control, but side control specifically is scored this highly compared to everything else. That'd be nice. It doesn't say that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Jim, but I think the reason why they don't say that in the criteria, or the reason why they specifically favor positional grappling, is because, for your analogy of closing the distance on the feet, you can still get knocked out via closing the distance on the feet, right? The problem is, though, when you take someone's back, you're just eliminating their weapons. They can't harm you in a significant way when you're on their back. When you get somebody to mount, they can't harm you from that position. You're taking away your opponent's abilities to attack you by achieving these positions. Whereas on the feet, just closing the distance isn't doing that, Like, I can close the distance, but I'm still in front of you and you can still knock me out. Even like a body lock from the back without the hooks in. Like, two guys are standing, but somebody's on the back, right? Like, we all saw Matt Frivola versus what's-his-face when fucking his coach was like, turn around! And then as soon as he turned, he got kneed in the face. It doesn't really work if you're on someone's back with a body triangle. If you do escape my body triangle, you can't knock me out immediately without getting space and distance, I'm not saying Islam, I'm not even making an argument. What I'm saying is the criteria is not clear enough for me to give you a solid answer. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to help you guys understand why certain positions are favored over other ones. Islam could not have hypothetically done something in round 4. He did do something. He got to the back with a body triangle. That is doing something. Like that, the criteria specifically says is what is something that is scored. That's effective grappling. What I'm saying is the reason why they favor that position is because, again, you're taking away all of your opponent's weapons from there, you know? Let me see. Did I miss some donations? Way too swinging with $5. Can you add DJ versus Rodtang and DJ versus Moraes too? And your thoughts on where Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France ranks? Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I mean, you know, obviously Pantoja showed some high level ability in that fight against Kai Kara-France, but Kai Kara-France had nothing for him. Just got fucking washed. Just got out-girthed, outsized, out-strengthed, out-mogged. I don't think Kai Kara-France was able to do a single thing in that fight. He didn't have the same ability that Pantoja had at all, so it ranks pretty lowly. But DJ and Rodtang. Oh, and probably say versus. DJ was very impressive round 1 against Rodtang. I talk a lot of shit about DJ, but he was very impressive. Let me get rid of this thing now. Oh, and then what was the other one? DJ versus Moraes too. Christian Care, thank you for the $7, $8 Canadian. Volk versus Ilia should be top 5. Volk was piecing him up early. These adjustments Ilia made to find the KO was super high level and IQ. You know, I think Volk versus Ilia could be in the conversation, but I don't know if it should be top 5. I disagree with that. I think I gotta disagree with it being top 5. You know, to say the adjustments Ilia made to find the KO was super high level, I mean, you know, fucking Chad Mendes dropped Volk, fucking Max Holloway dropped Volk, fucking Diego Lopez dropped Volk with the worst punching mechanics I've ever seen. You know, like, I hear ya. I hear ya. But, like, what adjustment did he made that made Volk go like this? Exactly like he did against Diego Lopez to get dropped. Did they both make that adjustment or what? And piecing him up early, you know, I don't know. He landed a fair amount of jabs. He landed one good right hand. Piecing him up is a bit of a, I don't know if that's how I would personally describe how round 1 went. But I agree that fight could be in the conversation. Way too many inventories. How much for a breakdown of DJ versus Pantoja? I already made one. Way too smoky. I've already made one. I did already I made a full video about that. It's out there. I think I might have retouched on it when I did my most recent definitively answering what if fights. Wait, did I add any other ones, or was it just those two? Oh, it's just these two. How high level was Rodtang versus DJ? I mean, round 1 was insanely high level. Round 2 was not that high level. Poor DJ or poor Rodtang just couldn't hang. But yeah, that round 1 was so fucking high level. That is true. That was true. Absolutely very high level. And DJ even cracked Rodtang a couple of times. It was very, very, very impressive. High level round 1, pretty low level round 2. DJ versus Moraes is up there. DJ versus Moraes is up there. to fucking, I mean, the way that that finishing sequence where he timed him, that like straight right hand to drop him, then as he was stumbling and falling back, DJ's just lining him up, boom, flying knee was really nice. Very, very nice. That's up there. That's a very high level fight. I'll tell you what, I'm excited for Moraes versus Makhachev on the Netflix card. That's actually a really good fight. It's awesome that Netflix is actually putting on like a legit, like, dude, when's the last time another organization was actually put on like a legitimately good card? Like, it's never happened. We have like a legitimately really good card put on by another organization, which is great. That's gonna, I mean, I think the UFC has suffered recently from a lack of competition, for sure, with the fights they've been putting on. And I'm talking purely in name value. But hopefully with extra competition, it's going to make them, up the fighter pay, make them try to put on better events. I mean, I think competition's good. You don't want too much competition. Boxing, for example, has too much competition. But the UFC needs a little bit. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Makhachev versus Moraes, which has been stemmed from you asking me to talk about this fight. There you go. Guys, I don't know if I can play Slither.io. I'm tired. I'm tired, man. I'm wiped. This was exhausting. We've been going for 3 hours. When we're 3 hours, I'm so exhausted. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. But thanks for coming. Today was a phenomenal stream. I'll see you guys later.